We all good? Are we on? Are we on? Okay, looks like we're on. Hold on. Okay, I'm here now. Hey, Blink. More of the same of everything else we've been doing. Just throwing that out there. I don't have my VTuber model on today just because I don't feel like it. If you ask nicely, I'll turn on Dan and Meowth though, so. But yeah, just more of the same. This is Carver. I don't know if I did the clean sketch for Carver on stream or not, but this is Carver. He's one of my player characters. He needs line art done. I finished line art on Helen. I can't remember if I did Helen on stream or not either. I know I got pretty far on Helen. But I don't know if I actually finished her on stream, but here she is, like, all done. She looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And after Carver here is done getting inked, that's very cool and very sexy and very fun. Because that means all my player characters are done, getting their line art done, which means they can just get some quick, colors and they'll be good to go. But unfortunately, I have a gajillion. So 2 NPCs, 3 NPCs, 4 NPCs. I have 5 NPCs after that who all need stuff done. So that'll be fun. It'll be a fun, wonderful, entertaining thing to work on. Yeah. I'm not gonna play music this time around, just because the VODs always get nuked when I play music. So if I do play music, I might just have it turned off so that you guys can't hear it and I can hear it. Or maybe we'll watch some video essays. I don't know. Here. There's video essays. I haven't decided what I want to listen to yet. 'Cause, like, I don't know. This is another one of those things where it's like, I don't really expect anyone to come by because it's the middle of the night. So I'm kind of just doing my own thing, chilling and just trying to get some work done so that I'm not alone. Hey CHR, how are you doing? I don't know, do we want to listen to a video essay? Does that sound like fun for anyone? I still need to turn off that bot. The thing is, like, I'm scrolling through my video essays. You can't really see what I'm looking at right now. But I'm scrolling through my video essays trying to see if there's anything that's, like, interesting that I want to listen to. And there's nothing that I'm, like, looking at that I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to listen to that. I really want to listen to that while I'm working today. Like, none of this is really just jumping out at me as, like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like something I'd be interested in right now. And that's part of the reason why my video essay watch later playlist has gotten so long, is that there's all this interesting stuff, but I only listen to it when it's like, oh, yeah, I want to listen to that. I'm in the mood for that. I'm ready to listen to that kind of thing. Like, I've had these Neopets videos. You can't really see them. I've had these Neopets videos on here for, like, ever. And it's like, yeah, I know I'm gonna get around to those eventually, but I'm just not interested in listening to them right now. So, yeah. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm just doing fine. I'm just doing okay. You know, there's stuff going on, but I'm taking it in stride, and I'm just trying to focus on projects that I want to work on. So, you know, that's the vibe. We're vibing. I don't know, I might just turn on music and turn off music for you guys so that the VOD doesn't get nuked, but so that I have something in my ears until I actually decide what I want to listen to. But now I'm looking at my music playlist and I'm like, do I want to listen to just more like My Chemical Romance and like Fall Out Boy and Panic and Paramore and stuff right now? Because, like, is that what I'm in the mood for? I haven't seen you for ages. Yeah, I haven't been doing content for a while. I've talked about this on the channel. In the past VODs that I got nuked, I went into a whole thing about how I haven't been making content because when I get stuff on my plate, the first thing that I drop is content. Like, the first thing that I push to the side that I do not worry about and focus on is content. And that's why I'm not doing content right now. I'm doing this because I want to be held accountable to actually do work that I want to work on. You know? So that's kind of why I'm doing this. I don't know. Here, I'm looking back at my videos again. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, I can't work on stuff if I'm not motivated to work on stuff. And I can't force the motivation because then it becomes fake and it becomes very, very obvious that I'm not having fun. Okay, let's listen to the Cryptid Iceberg by Wendigo.
Today I'm excited to announce that Christmas came early. Those of you that have been around for a while will know that I promised to do a Cryptid Iceberg over a year ago. And as more projects and things came to mind, I just never got around to it. Well, today I am making good on my word as we're going to cover the complete Cryptid Iceberg.
Can you hear me okay over Wendigoon here?
Someone who works at the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine. Way back whenever I first tried to cover this.
Let me know if Wendigoon's too quiet or if I'm too loud, and we'll just troubleshoot from there.
Just wasn't feasible. Because sure, while
this is interesting enough to listen to though. You can hear everything. Is he too loud or is he like okay?
And can research easily. The bottom tiers of this iceberg are things that before research I'd never even heard of. So rather than waiting for the entire Leviathan of this video to get put out at the same time, instead, I'm going to be releasing it in parts, hopefully over the course of December, and then after all of the parts are complete, compile it into one supercut. Same as I did.
I feel like this video here that he's doing, he hasn't even finished it. He's good, way less loud. Okay, cool. That's the plan. Because I'm just gonna be kind of chilling, listening to Wendigoon. We're all just gonna listen to Wendigoon. And if we want to talk about cryptids, we can talk about cryptids while I'm doing line art. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time. I'm kind of chilling. So
if you're the guy that made this iceberg, you know who you are. I shot you a DM on Twitter. Please respond. It'd be really cool to give you credit and point people towards more content that you're making. But until then, I'm not gonna, dox the guy without his permission. That'd be kind of rude. Also, it's just been a while since I've covered an iceberg. The last one I did was the disturbing video game iceberg earlier this year, but I haven't covered a series since the conspiracy theory iceberg, because if I remember correctly, the serial killer iceberg wrapped up even before that. So I figured, why not, for the holiday season, we go through this journey together, beginning in the realm of the fairly known, and eventually getting to the mysterious and the terrifying. This iceberg is for the most
CHR, since you're here, do you want to see something, cute that I was working on? I made a little PNG tuber for myself. Let me show it to you. Sorry, I gotta minimize Wendigoon so I can open up the other tube.
Also, I forgot to mention this in the initial recording, but there's one more thing that I want to make clear. An iceberg is a very quick look at a lot of content. Nearly every one of the creatures that we're going to be talking about have their own books written about them, have their own movies and documentaries made about them, and can amount to years and years of research.
Look, I'm a cute little guy. I'm a funny little guy.
Like any iceberg
I'm a funny little guy. This is the character that I'm gonna use for this D&D campaign that I'm doing. So let's just wear Danny Meowth today. Being Danny Meowth sounds fine actually. I don't care anymore.
For a lot of this lore. So if any of these creatures sound cool to you, I highly encourage you to do some research yourself, because really, it's a lot of fun. Also, for someone whose YouTube channel is named after a cryptid, there is a suspicious lack of cryptid content on the channel. So I figured, why not make the most of it while we're here?
The Wendigo
So
isn't a
instead of
cryptid. The
just
Wendigo
covering the
is
iceberg,
a
I will also be
spiritual
making a
creature of
cryptid tier
Algonquin
list.
mythology,
I don't think I need
and
to
it is
explain to the
a
average
common
YouTube
misconception
viewer
that the
what
Wendigo
tier
is a
list
cryptid.
It's your
The
standard
Wendigo
A through
is
F
part
ranking
of the
system, with S
Algonquin
being supreme
spiritual
overall.
religion
Just think of S tier
and
as a sort of
is
A+.
not
While the
a
actual
fun,
iceberg
spooky, ooky
analysis will
critter
be based
that
on
you can laugh
legend
at,
and
kind of like
research,
Bigfoot
the
is.
tier list is just
So
entirely
just
my own stupid
little
opinion
bit of
on how
little bit of a
cool I
bother
think
that
each
he
cryptid is.
said
There's
that he
also
doesn't
a
know that,
category at
but
the very
whatever.
bottom, NA, which
I'm
is
not
just for
Algonquin,
terms
so
of
I'm
the
not gonna
iceberg
fight
that
the
are not
fight.
applicable to what
I'm
we're
not gonna
talking about,
pretend I know more
because
than
some
I
of the
do.
stuff in this iceberg
I
isn't
just
even
know that
cryptid.
much
Some
just
of the terms
from
are books or
hearing
individuals who
things
are
on the
very
internet.
important to the field of cryptozoology, but it'd be weird to be ranking like
Because
Mothman and Bigfoot, and
cryptozoology
then
is
be
like
oh, well, this
the
book
creatures that
is
could
A-tier
reasonably
cryptid,
exist. We
whatever
just
that
have
means.
not
So in
scientifically
our cryptids going
proven
in A,
that they
everything
exist in the
else is fair
environments
game.
where
And
they've
for
been
those who are
spotted.
uninitiated as
Like,
to what a cryptid is, and
it
who
is
are,
very,
I'm
very,
so
very
sorry for what you're
unlikely
about
that there
in
is a
these
North
games, but the
American
short
great ape,
definition is that a
right?
cryptid is a
There's a North
creature
American
whose
great ape
existence is widely
living in
debated.
Yosemite
This
National
applies to
Park.
things you're
But
probably thinking
there
of,
is
like
a
Bigfoot or
theoretical
the Loch Ness
possibility
Monster, but also
that
applies
that
to things that were
environment
at one point
could
believed to be
support
extinct,
a
like
great
certain
ape
species of
like
fish or
Bigfoot,
primates,
right?
which we'll talk
That's
about
the
through the
theory,
series.
and that's what
Basically, any
cryptozoology is
animal or
studying,
creature that you
trying
can
to
think
figure
of
that
that
out.
exists
Like,
within
from
the
my
realm of
layman's
theory
perspective,
is
that's
likely
what
a
that's
cryptid.
about.
And I, for one, am so excited to talk about them today.
The Wendigo
and
is not
hopefully
that.
you are too.
The
It's been a
Wendigo
while
is
since I've covered an iceberg, especially
spiritual
this long.
figure. It
And I
is
know that
a
some of you only enjoy
spiritual,
videos that are related to real life events, some of you
I don't want to say
only
mythology, but it is a
content that is related
religious,
to the realm of fiction,
spiritual
and the world
figure
of cryptids
in
kind of
a
combines the two in a weird way.
native
At least I think
religion.
so. So hopefully there will be
So,
something in
like,
this series for everyone. And
show
above
a
all
little
else,
respect to
hopefully
what
you
you're
know.
calling a
A couple
cryptid,
things
dude.
I want to get out of the way before
This
we
guy
get
clearly,
started.
he's
Number
clearly
one,
just
the Red
compiling and
Thread
just doing
podcast that
research
I
based on
began
things that
with
other
Critical
people
and
are
Jackson
calling
Park has been doing phenomenal. We
a
only have one
cryptid,
episode
and
out,
it's like,
it's doing great on Spotify.
yeah,
You can
sure,
listen to it
fair,
on
I
Spotify,
guess,
by
but
the
also
way.
do your own
And
research
on
and
YouTube, it has
realize that
nearly
what you're
500,000
saying is
views,
wrong, kind of
which
thing.
for a first episode,
I swear I like this
you guys
guy's
are doing
content. I'm not
incredibly
just
good,
gonna
and
criticize
it really
him
does
for
mean the world. So a link to that will be
the
in
whole
the
time.
description if anyone wants to check it out. And to
So.
those of you who already have, thank you. The first episode we did over there was actually about the Goat Man. And it's almost like
No
I
way.
planned this
I had no
whole
idea
thing
about.
out.
Well,
I didn't, but it's almost
Bigfoot
like that. And we are
is
trying to get
like
the first episode of the other
cryptozoology and
podcast
stuff
I
is
began
the
with meetcha,
theory that like
StreamLabs.
somewhere
The
like
first episode of
Yosemite
that should be out at the end of this
could
week. Both of those will
support
be linked in the
a
description.
great
And
ape,
again, thank you
like
all so much
like
for the support
Bigfoot,
you've
you know.
already shown. It means the world.
That's
Also, for
the
holiday
idea.
season, I have a very special
Bigfoot has not been
treat,
confirmed
and
to
that treat
exist.
is this guy.
Bigfoot has not been confirmed to
Not that
exist
guy.
in like
This guy. This one right
like,
here. I'm not going to show him off on
definitively.
yet, but those of you who
But
follow me on
cryptozoology is
Twitter
the study of like,
already know
hey,
who he
is it
and
is
he
it
will be
theoretically
available
possible
on
for a
December
creature like
1st. So
this
stay tuned for
to
that.
exist in this
That
environment?
was a little mean. I'm sorry.
And Yosemite
Also,
is,
before we get
you know,
into
like national
a
parks,
massive
American national
series
parks.
of things that I enjoy,
It's not
but
something that you can
probably
like
shouldn't
definitively
because it
rule
definitely
out
affects
that
my
a
mental
creature
health
like
for the
Bigfoot
worst
exists. It is
in the long run.
extremely,
Let's talk about something that I
extremely
enjoy
unlikely.
that affects my
But
mental
there
and
are
physical
arguments
health
that, hey,
better in the long
maybe
run.
there is something out there, you know?
Yeah. But before we
And that's
dive
kind of
into
what
this
makes
rabbit
it
hole
so
of weird,
interesting.
I want to talk about something that's weirdly good for you, and that is today's sponsor, who we've all come to know and love, AG1.
I don't
That's
want to listen to your ad read, dude.
because nutritious you have instead full high quality content. This don't even real throughout the day, but ounces of water that it tastes.
This video has been going on for like 8 minutes already, and we haven't even gotten to the actual research of and talking about the guys, the little spooky Yuki guys. I want to hear about the cryptids. This has been going on for 9 minutes, sir. Get into the cryptids.
And we are back to the video. We are going to go ahead and get into it, but as always, thank you for watching. I want to get the first 2 episodes of this series out quick so that I set a precedent for myself and don't slack off on uploads. So this video and the next will be covering 1 tier of the iceberg each. And then hopefully after that, I'll be covering 2 tiers of the iceberg per video, which theoretically will round out to 5 episodes over the course of December for the whole series, but I am most likely going to eat my words on that. So I'm leaving this part in the video so that you all can laugh at me when I inevitably fail. But in the meantime, why not have some fun? So let's get into it, starting with tier 1. Beginning with Bigfoot, also known as
Bigfoot, what I was just talking about.
The name Sasquatch is derived from the Salish word Sasquitz, meaning wild man. While Sasquatch is the name of the creature within regions like the Pacific Northwest, other renditions of it exist in nearly every corner of the world. While Bigfoot is believed to be connected to several otherwise unrelated legends given his appearance, like for example, stories of tall, hairy men can be seen in everything from the rock apes to the Wendigo and what have you. He is most famous among regions of the Northwest United States. While menacing, his widespread popularity has caused several stories of him to move from that of a barbaric killer to an agent of nature, disturbing those who disrespect the mountains. Shortly after the famed 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, Skamania County, Washington implemented a statute stating that the poaching of Bigfoot would result in a 5-year prison sentence. Things like this caused Bigfoot to be catapulted into the public eye. And despite his fierce appearance, many now see Bigfoot as a sort of icon.
The reason why it's illegal to hunt Bigfoot in those counties is so that people cannot use, oh, I thought I saw Bigfoot, as a excuse for harming people, right? So, like, if there were to be a gun accident, right, in the woods somewhere, where it is very clearly criminal negligence, or there was some crime being committed that caused the gun accident to happen, a lot of things like gun accidents can get, like, wiped away in court if the person who fired truly believed their life was at risk, and that's what caused them to fire, right? So the reason why Bigfoot is illegal to poach, it's illegal to shoot Bigfoot, is so that people cannot use that as an excuse in legal situations like that. They can't say, "Oh, I didn't shoot that other hiker because I thought it was another hiker. I shot that hiker because I thought it was Bigfoot, and I know that Bigfoot could fucking kill me." Okay, well, shooting at Bigfoot's still a crime, so you can still get in trouble for that. That's why that is on the books. It's not a silly thing. It's not the government saying, yes, Bigfoot exists. It is there so that people cannot use Bigfoot as an excuse in situations where using Bigfoot could be potentially construed as a way to get out of judicial situations.
We all know and love him. He's kind of the foundation for any cryptid story, at least in the United States. So of course, I gotta put the guy at A tier. The reason I don't put him at S tier is because he is so popular at this point that there's not really a, hardline canon for what the creature does or what its motives are. Like, to some people, it's this monster that kills anyone that goes in the woods. To others, it's this peaceful guardian of nature. And because of that, stories of Bigfoot are all over the place. Sometimes they can be really cool, sometimes they can be really lame. But Bigfoot laid the groundwork for most of mystery culture as it exists today. So to me, he's a
Don't mind me, I'm being Dan and Meowth. I didn't want to have my VTuber on.
Is believed to inhabit Lake Loch Ness of the Scottish Highlands. While written legends of a sea beast within Loch Ness date back to the first millennia, and sightings date back even further, the description and reputation of the plesiosaur-like Nessie exploded into the public consciousness in 1933 when several locals reported seeing the creature both in and out of water.
I'm pretty sure Nessie has been confirmed like 100,000% to not exist.
Was taken. Despite most legends describing the creature as docile, besides the occasional mention of consuming prey animals, hunting the Loch Ness Monster has become a sort of snipe hunt among the locals. In 1938, men arrived at Loch Ness with makeshift harpoon guns in hope of killing the creature. Sightings and expeditions to find Nessie have continued into the modern age. The 750-foot deep lake is proud of its mascot, a legend that's fueled tourism within Scotland for the past century. With connections to legends such as the Kelpie and over 1,000 sightings to date, Nessie is a legend that is certainly here to stay. I'm sure we're all familiar with the Loch Ness Monster and theories that maybe it's a dinosaur that didn't die out in the
I'd say it looks a lot like a plastic dinosaur toy sticking up out of the water. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nessie has been confirmed to not exist. The Loch Ness is one of those things where, like, even theoretically it couldn't support a creature like Nessie. You know? Because the idea is... Sorry, I gotta pause my video again so I can talk about this. The thing is, when you look at these cryptids, you cannot just look at the cryptid itself. You have to look at the cryptid as if it was a creature that was in the natural environment, right? And everything in an environment relies on everything else, like, you know, the food web, all sorts of that. We all know about the interconnection of natural environments. I'm not gonna explain that. It's how we get situations like without wolves, there's too many deer, and with too many deer, then there's no plants, and if there's no plants, there's nowhere for other animals to live, kind of situations like that. So when you look at something like Bigfoot or like Nessie, you can't just look at Bigfoot or Nessie as the theoretical creature as it might exist. You have to look at Bigfoot and Nessie as theoretical creatures who exist in this environment. And that's why, like I talked about Bigfoot earlier, the idea of Bigfoot is Bigfoot might exist because of the environment in which it lives in. There is, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of unexplored, unknown wilderness out there in American national parks that could potentially, it's a very, very low chance, right? But could potentially support a creature like Bigfoot. That's why Bigfoot, I think, is more plausible. I'm not saying Bigfoot is plausible, but Bigfoot is more plausible in that situation. But something like Nessie, yeah, sure, the Loch Ness is 750 feet deep, but what is there in the loch that could support a creature that is the size of a goddamn dinosaur? What is there? Like, tell me. Tell me what there is. There's not a lot. Just the amount of prey that would be needed to keep a creature like Nessie alive is not something that could be provided by that natural environment. And that's a problem, especially because it is a lake. It is not an ocean. Megalodons don't exist. I'm happy to say that megalodons don't exist for similar reasons. There's not enough food in the ocean, but it is more plausible for creatures of great size and great ecological need to exist in larger environments. The Loch Ness cannot support a monster. Sorry, let me turn my video back on.
Very popular, but years later was revealed to be a definitive hoax. And there's just not really that many, like, cool stories or, like, cool things people do with them. People just show up to the lake and they're like, oh, I saw, you know, the dinosaur thing, and everyone's like, that's cool. And that's it. It doesn't go anywhere after that. I think Nessie's kind of cute, but that doesn't really qualify for any of the top tiers. So, middle of the line. Next up, we have Mothman. The Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
I love Mothman as like mythology and folklore, but I don't know if Mothman like actually exists. Because again, you gotta ask yourself in that question of ecological potential. A creature like this, like there are no humanoids that can fly. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work out physiologically.
Across the region until in December of 1967, when the Silver Bridge, a massive roadway connecting West Virginia to Ohio, collapsed, resulting in the deaths of 46 people. Legends began to arise that Mothman himself was spotted at the bridge just before it collapsed. As such, the mythos surrounding Mothman shifted from that of a monstrous killer to that of a benevolent harbinger. Likewise, Mothman's public image is mostly that of a wise herald of the natural world. Alright, so for one, to get it out of the way, Mothman is as...
I'm just gonna throw this out here and you guys can like do whatever you want with this information, but I'd fuck Mothman. I don't think Mothman exists. I think Mothman is strictly a mythological figure. Mothman is strictly folklore. It's strictly like, it doesn't exist. Mothman doesn't exist. But I'd fuck Mothman. I think Mothman would be a tender lover. I would fuck Mothman. I think that Mothman might have a really cool, like, proboscis tongue, and I think that could be really, really fun. I'd fuck Mothman. I'm putting that out there for anyone to do whatever they want with. But I'm just vocalizing that into the world. I'd fuck Mothman. Yeah. I'm gonna turn off YouTube Studio really quick before I turn my video back on. Just make sure they don't have too many programs running. I don't need to.
Because if we're doing all of this and we're not putting Mothman at S tier, then what are we doing here? Both among people who are just kind of interested in cryptids or the supernatural, and those who are super interested, both hold Mothman as one of the best. He is defined as a creature that is menacing and potentially harmful, but also maybe here to help us, maybe trying to warn us of danger. And he's a giant bat moth person. Like, that's just
yeah, that's
really
pretty
cool.
sick. That's
I've
pretty
been
sick.
To Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Whoops.
I've done
Sorry, I didn't forget I
Mothman
didn't realize I had
tours, been to the museum,
Windigoon
up around
paused.
the TNT
There you
area. There's even a statue of him in the middle of the town.
He's hot!
Of course,
Mothman's hot!
Did in fact touch his butt.
Mothman's got fucking cake, guys!
Also, one more thing I want to mention. The poster that you can see off to the side whenever I'm recording at the whiteboards or on my live streams, the poster that has Bigfoot, Mothman, Braxy...
That's pretty good. I like this poster, actually.
This poster came from the Mothman Museum at Point Pleasant, West Virginia. You know, just in case my crippling hyper-interest wasn't apparent enough. Mothman is one of the most beloved cryptids of all time for good reason. Next up, we have the Kraken.
I'm not elaborating.
The Kraken, or giant
I already
squid,
said enough
is a legend
about...
that predates that of nearly any other cryptid. For as long as humanity has traveled...
Giant squids exist. Giant squids just exist. No, this exists. We know giant squids exist. We have evidence of them living in, like, extremely deep environments. They just exist. No, this isn't even a cryptid. This is just proven they exist. They're just extremely rare, and we do not know a lot about them.
If anything, exaggeration. While stories of naval vessels being pulled to the depths cannot be confirmed, modern findings like that of the colossal squid give credence to
Baja.
Thank you. I literally, like, just took a sip of my tea, like, before you came on.
The Kraken is less a cryptid and more a chilling reminder of what was or might still be out there. The Kraken's an interesting one. Sure, the first time it was written down was...
There's a giant squid corpse on display at the Natural History Museum. Yeah, the giant squid just exists. Yeah.
As old as sailing has existed. And then, as science begins to find things like colossal squids that are still alive, who knows what was roaming the oceans 300 years ago? We know that increased transportation across waterways has caused...
There it is. Hi, Alphys. Hi.
...to hide from the commotion caused by ships. So what was roaming the top of the waters several hundred years ago? What might still be out there, only a bit deeper down? The Kraken's an interesting one. It's hard to argue that it's entirely fictional or entirely a cryptid, but it serves as a chilling reminder for several unidentified species of creature that we've been wrong before. Next up we have the Yeti, also known as the Abominable Snowman. The Yeti is a Bigfoot synonymous creature hailing from the Himalayan mountain range. Tibetan folklore describes different variations of the creature.
I don't know if the Yeti exists just because of that food reason that yeah, it's probably on cooldown. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and give you this one. Hi, Blink, hi. There you go.
Foothills of Mount Everest.
Yeah, I had those. That's okay, you guys can use them, that's what they're there for. I hope you're having fun with them.
People being lost to the rage hidden within the fierce snowstorms of the mountains. While some Tibetan cultures view the Yeti as a sort of spiritual guardian, most see him as an agent of death and violence. Sightings of large footprints, tribal relics, and massive figures along the Himalayas keep the legend alive to this day. The Yeti has an intricacy that's probably surprising to a lot of people that just see it as a big
Thank you for the save.
Legends for different kinds of Yetis. Those that are violent to people, those that are passive to people.
Yeah, I gave Carver his stick. Isn't that cute?
Time at the foothills of Everest will report finding remains or footprints that are just a little bit out of character. Or you'll hear stories of explorers seeing someone on a far-off mountain.
This is another thing about cryptids that I think is not given enough due, right? So these creatures that would live in these ecological niches, right? Where is the evidence of their existence beyond the photographs and the crazy stories of getting chased down a mountain and the, the folklore. Where's Bigfoot's shit? Show me a pile of Bigfoot poop. I want to see Bigfoot droppings, right? I want to see the stuff that would not make headlines, but is... Sorry, I have the hiccups. I just had a big old bowl of soup. The stuff that would not make these, cryptozoology legend headlines, right? But is nonetheless proof that this creature exists and something that can be taken back to a lab and studied. Where's the poop? Especially a creature like the Yeti. So, it's a very famous thing that because Mount Everest and the Himalayas are so fucking cold, things do not decompose there. Human waste doesn't decompose, human bodies don't decompose. So if anything, a creature like the Yeti, it should be easier to find evidence of the Yeti because it is harder for things to decompose. We should be finding Yeti droppings every other week. We should have Yeti fucking confirmed. And another thing, in those intense environments, food is even harder, and that's why things like apex predators like snow leopards, even before they were hunted, they're very, very, very rare because it's hard to maintain a presence as a big omnivore or carnivore in these environments, right? So yeah, I don't know. The Yeti poops white poops, so the white poops blend in with the white snow, so no Yeti poops. The fact that that's something that someone would, genuinely try to say, I in my heart, I think you're memeing. I think you're fucking memeing on it right now, Blank. And that's, it's okay, it's funny, but no! There's no fucking white poops! That's just one of the things that I think about.
Who appear to be just a bit too tall. The Yeti is in a particularly mysterious part of the world.
Yeti poops white poops. The Yeti does not fucking poop white poop. Show me an animal that poops white poop, fresh out the bunghole.
The only thing that really holds it back for me is because, as an American, it really is just snow Bigfoot. The next term on the iceberg is the thylacine, which also known as the Tasmanian tiger.
Thylacine?
Species native to Tasmania,
Thylacine?
New Zealand, and...
Wait, is it really pronounced thylacine? I thought it was pronounced thylacine. How to pronounce thylacine?
Thylacine.
Oh, okay. Thylacine. Ha! Oh! You fucking mispronounced that, you chode! You dwingus! Okay, so it's not thylacine, it's thylacine. Thylacine?
Thylacine.
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 Thylacine. So it's not thylacine. Thylacine. He pronounced it wrong. Everyone clown on him in the comments right now. He pronounced thylacine wrong. I still can pronounce it thylacine. We're just both. You know what? He can pronounce it thylacine. I can pronounce it thylacine. Tomato. It's fine. Birds? Bigfoot ain't a fucking bird.
There existed large populations of them across the continent.
Show me an ape that poops white out of its butt. Just fresh out the butthole.
Wolverine dog thing, but they were marsupial and they had the marsupial pouch. They could also open their jaws really wide, near 90 degrees. The reason that the thylacine is on this iceberg is because it's an example of a weird and unique species that died out in the past century. So while it does give credence to some other cryptid legends, I have to put it at non-applicable because, it's just
an animal
that is now dead.
Yeah, it's just
so sad. Next up, we have the skunk ape. The skunk ape is, in effect, the Bigfoot of the Everglades. The key trait that separates the skunk ape from other Sasquatch-adjacent creatures is the presence of a strong, ghastly odor that emanates from the creature, hence giving it the name skunk ape.
I think I accidentally made his face too round.
While
They always
stories
make
of
things too
man-sized
round.
monkeys permeated the region since
Thank you.
pre-colonial arrival, the legends
Yeah, I'm
of the
pretty good at
skunk
art.
ape have
Yeah,
exploded
not
in
to
the
toot
past
my own
century.
horn, but I'm
While
pretty
sharing
good at
several
art.
similarities to
I'm
Bigfoot,
pretty good
the
at
ape
art.
is typically depicted as more docile
Get
and
rid of this
smelly.
line really
I've
quick.
always found the skunk ape to be more scary than Bigfoot.
I'll be just like
and I
you
think
one
the main
day.
reason for that
Yeah, man,
is,
just honestly,
as a
just keep
kid, I was
drawing.
exposed to, like,
Like,
happy-go-lucky,
you only, this is one of those
friend
skills
the
where you
hiker
only get better
Bigfoot
by
motif,
doing. Just keep
and
making
the
drawings,
exposure to the
and
skunk ape I got
it'll,
was that
it'll,
one
it'll,
really
like, you'll
freaky
just get
image
better and
of it,
better.
like, behind
You just gotta
the
keep,
leaves
you just
at
gotta
night.
keep trucking, you know?
And I think someone
That's
found
the
out
idea.
later that that picture was actually a picture of a display at a Ripley's Believe It or Not, I'm pretty sure. But nevertheless, 8-year-old me didn't know that. And I did live for a month.
Definitely
down
improved over
in
the years?
Florida
Yeah, thanks, I
Everglades,
appreciate
and I
that.
think it's just because that's such a hostile region of land. Whereas I see things like the Pacific Northwest, like, sure, in the winter you can die if you're out there. But for the most part, it's like friendly hiking
That's a little
trails and
better.
whatnot. And
I
if
like
you
that
try
better.
to just go hiking through the middle of the Everglades, you will die to something. So while the skunk ape itself is typically depicted as non-violent, I think it's just the menacing characteristics of the area around him that make him so scary. That kind of by association, he's seen as a menacing creature, even if himself is not. This probably doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense up here. So while I do like the skunk ape and have even been to the skunk ape museum in the Everglades, I've got to put him at B tier because at the end of the day, smelly Bigfoot.
Smelly
Next, we
Bigfoot.
have Champy. The monster of Lake Champlain has been described by those native to the land as a great horned serpent. And yeah,
I'd love to show you my stuff I've changed and improved over the last years, and I'm working on a project with someone. That's really cool. We have an art show channel in the Koyuki Club if you're interested in posting your stuff there.
In newspapers for the past century. Some of which describing the
I know
creature as
Koyuki
being
Club is
nearly
pretty quiet
200
these
feet
days
in
since I've been
length
kind of
and
quiet as a
recounts
content
stories of
creator.
steamboats halting
But
and colliding
like
with
always
beasts.
happy to like
At one
see, like
point,
I
BT
see
Barnum
things that people
offered
post in there if I don't,
$50,000 for
even if I
the
don't
hide of the
always
creature,
reply
which
to
adjusted
them,
for
you know?
inflation is nearly $1.3 million. Despite differing accounts of Champy's appearance, most agree on the head of a snake and massive dimensions. Due to the lack of stories regarding
I'll send an
attacks
amazing art
or
and show art.
danger,
Hell yeah.
Champy is often regarded as a docile, kind creature and is even a protected species in both the states of Vermont and New York. Champy is effectively the Loch Ness Monster, but in the United States. A lot of the legends around Champy are explicitly nice or kind, whereas the Loch Ness Monsters tend to be more menacing or at the very least mysterious. Champy is kind of seen as almost like there's just a blue well in the middle of the lake, like this harmless creature that's just really big and wants to be your friend. And that's seen in a lot of the artwork and advertisement related to the legend. And while I think that's cute and all, I've got to give it a D tier. I'm sure there's a lot of people that really like it, but again, it's just take this legend and then move it somewhere else. After that, we have the chupacabra. The chupacabra, or goat sucker, is a creature from Latin America that is known for drinking the blood of livestock. Descriptions of the creature range from a hyena-like canine as reported in most Mexican and Southwest United States.
It's not there though. Maybe
stories,
someday I'll make an Instagram or something other than X, aka Twitter, the Hell Zone.
as seen in the original
Yeah.
Puerto Rican sighting.
It should be, it's called Show Me Your Art, Sharp, in Koyuki
black
Club.
quills along the creature's back. Despite its
Yeah,
popularity,
sure, Show
the
Me Your Art.
chupacabra is a relatively new urban legend, with the first use of the name occurring in the 1990s following a series of livestock
Goat
killings in
sucker.
Puerto Rico. Several animals were found
Get
drained of their
sucked,
blood,
goat.
and local speculation shifted to that of a vampiric beast that preys on unsuspecting farmers. Despite its short time in the limelight, the chupacabra has built a name for itself that rivals the likes of Bigfoot. Chupacabra is one of the most famous cryptids of all time. But that being said, I've got to throw him at C tier. Because like when the legend began, it was this alien reptilian humanoid that would feast on the blood of animals. And that was, cool and unique. But then when the legend went from Puerto Rico to like Mexico and Texas, it just became stories of people going, oh, well, it was like a coyote without a lot of hair and it ate a chicken. And so it's like,
That's just a coyote with
it's a
mange.
coyote without a lot of hair. And then most of the stories and sightings around it got pretty generic. Most of the time, it could just be written off as a dog. But I do have to give it some points for popularity. Also, I forgot to mention this, but when I was in the 8th grade, we had a class presentation where we had to study some kind of historic event and talk about all of the stories and legends around it. So the normal people in my class covered things like, you know, the Titanic or World War II, and I did a report on the Chupacabra. So
Yeah.
I guess I was always destined to wind up here.
Yeah, so that tracks for him. That's really funny.
The jackrabbit antelope is in many regards
Jackalope! I love jackalopes.
The creature is simply a jackrabbit with antlers. Early settlers would tell tall tales of horned rabbits seen on the fields of Wyoming.
Jackalopes are pretty cool, not gonna lie. I have a furry character who's a jackalope and her name is Marie.
Taxidermized a set of deer antlers onto a jackrabbit mount. He sold jackalope mounts to several businesses in the American West, and the legend became a sort of in-joke among the locals. Outsiders were warned to beware the dangerous creature and to guard their legs. Stories of jackalopes singing with travelers by the campfire, or only being able to breed during lightning strikes, the explanation for their scarce appearance, were very common. The jackalope became a sort of snipe hunt, and among the first American legends. Also, in Wyoming, it's a running joke that you can get a jackalope hunting license composed of impossible stipulations. I love the jackalope because, for one, it has the most innocent beginnings. There were legends of a rabbit with deer antlers, so a guy thought it'd be funny to make a taxidermy of one and sell it to local businesses. And then every time someone who's unfamiliar with the area comes into town, it gives all the locals an excuse to spin a yarn. I mean, if you were a guy who had never been out west, and you know, this is pre-internet or widespread education, and you saw a jackrabbit mount with antlers and everyone in town told you it's real, I mean, who are you to not believe that? Now, when they get to all of the stories about it can only breed during lightning strikes or whatnot, that's different. But it became a fun story that a bunch of people would add their own legends to. And like I said, in Wyoming, it was a joke for a while that you could get a license to hunt a jackalope, but it would have a stipulation like, can only be on February the 30th, or can only take place in the minute before and after midnight. So while sure, there's not a lot to the legend of the creature itself, it's the legends and cultures that were built around it that make it so special, and what makes me put it at B tier. I also just noticed that I left my ceiling light on, which has been reflecting on the board this whole time. You think 3 million subs can't figure out how lights work. Next up, we have the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil, also known as the Leeds Devil, is a monster said to stalk the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey.
Do not
Descriptions
exist.
vary, but in every variation, the devil is a combination of different animal features. It is often cited as a sort of dragon with bat-like wings, goat-like hooves, and the head of a horse. While the natives' legends of a flying creature within the Pine Barrens predate colonial legend, the story
Gotta head
of the
out. No
Leeds
problem,
Devil
Blink.
is
Thanks for
far
coming
more
by. It was good
popular.
seeing you.
According to legend, in the 1730s, a woman named Mrs. Leeds discovered that she was pregnant with her 13th child. Understandably, Mother Leeds was upset and cursed the unborn child. When the child was born, it transformed into the Jersey Devil and flew out of the house, stalking those who stray from the trails of New Jersey ever since. The Jersey Devil's a fascinating one. Unlike a lot of cryptids, it has a definitive origin story, and while the characterization of other cryptids is often kind of ambiguous, the Jersey Devil is expressly evil. It's a creature born from hell that will kill or haunt anyone who gets in its way. It's also particularly terrifying, and one of the only cryptids that I can definitively say scared me to death as a child. It's scary, it's cool, and it looks weird, so I'm putting it at A tier. And the last cryptid for tier 1 is the Dogman. The Dogman, also known as the Michigan Dogman, rose to infamy in 1987 when a disc jockey named Steve Cook released a song called The Legend, detailing the story behind the creature. According to the legend, the Dogman was first seen in 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan. The creature has the body of a man with the head of a dog. While many associate this appearance with the commonly known werewolf, stories of the Dogman imply a less blended, more distinct appearance of a canine's head on a man's body. While stories of attacks are scarce, the haunting appearance is enough to drive many locals to a place of fear. The Dogman's an interesting one. Things like the werewolf have been so overplayed in pop culture that few people still find the idea of one scary. But there is something directly uncanny about just a man's form with a dog's head. And while that in itself is cool, the Dogman kind of has a shaky beginning, so to speak. Like, a lot of these cryptids and stuff come from...
Yeah, the Dogman just sounds like, hey, I wrote a cool song, do you like it?
But the Dogman began with a disc jockey making a song about him, and then sightings of the creature began. And while I'm not going through this whole thing talking about why cryptids are fake or why this one is less likely to exist than the other one, because that's pretty lame. I mean, the Dogman was just a guy wrote a song about it and people started saying it, so kind of lessens the cool factor a little bit. So that, coupled with the creature's design being pretty basic, brings it down a bit for me. A lot of the stories that have come off of the legend are pretty cool, so I'm putting it at C tier. And now, let's do a quick run through of the other non-applicables from tier 1. Classic Animals of Discovery was the book that Lewis and Clark put together of all the animals they discovered on their voyage out west. This is fascinating because for the first time in written literature, there were hundreds of newly documented animals. It goes to show how quickly something can go from unknown to cataloged in the matter of a single trip. Sea serpent, similar to the Kraken, is a legend that has existed for hundreds and hundreds of years. But everything that I would have said about the sea serpent, I pretty much mentioned with the Kraken stuff. And since the two overlap so much, I'm leaving it down here since it in itself is kind of vague. Lauren Coleman is the founder of the International Cryptozoology Museum that I mentioned earlier, and he's also foundational in a ton of cryptid legends. Like, some of the stuff we're going to be talking about later on was named by the guy, and he's done more for the cryptid community than probably anyone else alive. You'll be hearing more about him later on in the series. The Fiji mermaid is the original cryptid hoax. People took the torso of a monkey and stitched it to the tail of a fish and told people that they had found mermaids. Josh Gates, the host of the show Destination Truth, goes into cryptid sightings and exploring cryptid encounters. The coelacanth is a species of fish that was believed to be extinct for tens of millions of years until they were found alive in the 1930s off the southern coast of Africa. An example of how things we believe could have been extinct for times long before us can simply pop up and rewrite our understanding of biology. A common occurrence you're going to see throughout
coelacanth, my
of
fucking
the
beloved
species we're going to see through the rest of the series.
Fish.
Expedition Everest was the Disney World attraction that featured a Yeti and helped popularize the Yeti in American culture. And finally, the TV show Finding Bigfoot, a TV show where they set out to find Bigfoot and still haven't found him, although the show itself is very funny. There were a couple more terms on tier 1, like the Patterson-Gimlin film that I mentioned with Bigfoot, or the surgeon's photograph that I mentioned with the Loch Ness Monster, but I already talked about those, so they don't need to go up here. And with that, we have the end of tier 1. If you're familiar with cryptozoology to any degree, then you've probably already heard everything I talked about today. But this serves as an excellent introduction to the series. We've talked about a lot of the
Yeah, I have a book like on my shelf, actually.
How the rest of the series will go.
I have a book on my shelf that is like a short little like basics of cryptozoology encyclopedia. I fucking love that thing. It's really cool. So yeah, I know basically all of these that went over in this video, just from leafing through that. So, but still, it's nice to hear more about it and to learn more about it. Are there more episodes of this cryptid iceberg that Wendigoon's done? Because I think we should definitely watch the next episode in this series. This is good background noise, and I like talking about cryptids. This is fun.
So I am going to get started on editing this and then immediately get into research for the second video, which will hopefully be up in a matter of days after this one comes out. Because from here, we just have a whole lot of weird. We've dipped our toes into the shallows, and join me in the following episodes of the series as we dive into the deep end. But for now, for those of you who have stuck around this long in the video, I just want to say thank you for watching. I know this is
hearing that title, Finding Bigfoot, instantly made me think of a Bigfoot story parody based on Finding Nemo. God. Where's my son? He's Bigfoot!
This introduction to the series, and I promise that more parts are on the way. But again, for now, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. Check out the two podcasts.
Blah, blah, blah. Yep, thank you for watching. Yep, we're cool, we know. Yeah, there is this episode 2. There's episode 2 and episode 3. So we got 2 more episodes of cryptids to watch. I need to catch up on my Wendigoon. I haven't watched a lot of Wendigoon recently. Cryptid Iceberg, episode 2, let's go. Are you trying to sell your U2's figure to me? Because I'm not gonna buy it.
Hello everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the Cryptid Iceberg. Hopefully you've already seen part 1 of the series, and if you haven't, the link to that will be in the description. And if you're caught up, we can go ahead and get into it. However, there's one thing I need to change about this series before we start. I did manage to get in contact with the creator of the iceberg, and he informed me that the version I've been working with was the prototype for the full and true iceberg. And after looking into some of the stuff he added, I am frankly out of my depths. Like I mentioned in part 1, the guy who made this works at the Cryptozoology Museum. He has firsthand experience with several of the people and literature that's conducive to the field of cryptozoology that I'll never really understand. Or at least never understand the proper way in the time frame I plan to make this series. So to make this easier on everyone, and hopefully to make a better series for you all, in this video I'm
Hi,
going to be
Bling.
working from the iceberg
You came back?
he
Good to
made,
see you, good
and
to see you.
instead
Hello.
building out my own iceberg. It will be similar in length to the original one I began covering, only this one is going to have even more cryptids. Or basically cryptids in place of things on the iceberg that weren't cryptids. Because frankly, I'm here to talk about the scary stuff. I'm here to talk about the monsters. And while all of the supplemental material is
I didn't come back, I'm heading out now, so I just said say hi. Yeah, get your highs in.
Remedial crash course in it, and then throw it to you off the cuff with a lot of wrong information. So we're going to keep it to the spooky stuff. Beginning in tier 2, I'm going to switch up some of the stuff in the original iceberg to throw in more creatures. And for the rest of the series, we're going to keep it to the things that I want to talk about, and hopefully you all want to hear. And then when the creator of this original iceberg has finished his version of it, I'll be sure to shout out either his YouTube channel or the iceberg image itself, and make sure he gets credit for the work and inspiration that he's given me. This probably sounds really confusing right now, but by the time this full iceberg is done and I make the compilation of it, it's all going to run together as one piece. Don't worry about it. Just pretend like the last video and this video are 2 tiers of this new iceberg. And because of that, that means I get to do this. Because now if the iceberg is just terms I want to talk about, we don't need all of that supplemental material. There's still some stuff that aren't cryptids that I want to talk about, like the coelacanth and the sea serpent, which I've got down here. But now we can streamline this whole thing to just those that go bump in the night. Also, one thing I want to mention from the last video. A bunch of you in the comments were yelling at me that the reason the thylacine, or thylacine, or however you want to pronounce it, is on this iceberg is because despite the fact that it went extinct in 1930s according to our textbooks, several sightings of it still appear across the Australian continent. So fine, because it's technically an animal that doesn't officially exist, but sightings of it are still out there, I'll give you that it is a cryptid. But if I have to give you that, then I give you this. F2. That is a stupid cryptid. Real sad that it died, sad.
That's really funny. F your cryptid.
But the whole cryptid is there was an animal that existed 90 years ago that we think died out. But maybe it didn't die out. And to that I say, yeah, maybe it didn't. Who knows? Who cares? Because we're talking about flying moth people and giant ape things that smell bad. So you and your cat dog can run back to the McDonald's play place.
You and your cat dog can run back to the McDonald's play place.
I will immediately
Wait, that's actually pretty funny. That caught me. That tickled me.
A few people online, especially Twitter, I'm looking at you, Smoo, were getting mad at me for putting like the Yeti and the skunk ape or the Kraken at B tier. Okay, I don't know if you know this, but C is the middle of the line. S tier doesn't count. S is like supreme, whatever. There's only one thing up there right now. Look at it as great, good, mid, bad, awful, right? So B is still a good cryptid. I still like it. C is the middle of the road. Just because something's B tier doesn't mean it's bad. And if you keep talking, I will take every one of these down. It's my pointless YouTube series. I'll rank it how I want. And also, as you saw in the intro, it is finally time for him. That is right. I now introduce to you the second edition of the Wendigoon U2's figure. We sold the first version of this guy last year.
I cannot express how much I do not care about the U2's figure and the merch. I'm sorry. I've bought merch for 2 YouTubers in my entire life, and I'm not gonna buy Wendigoon's merch.
The Demon of Dover, Massachusetts was spotted on April the 21st, 1977. Bill Bartlett was driving through the back roads near town when he spotted a creature with large eyes, a bulbous head, and tendril fingers atop a broken stone wall. A total of 3 sightings occurred around town that night and the night of the 22nd. Bill drew a sketch of what he saw and added the message, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature." Lauren Coleman investigated the sightings and named the creature the Dover Demon. Despite only 2 days of suspected sightings, the demon has become a mainstay among cryptid communities. Because of the Dover Demon's appearance, a lot of people associate it with extraterrestrial alien encounters, but others just say he's a weird little guy with a big head.
He's a weird little guy!
In the days around
Would you guys still like me if I was a
encounter,
weird little guy
but
with a
because
big
stories
head?
are so
Like,
scarce,
would you guys
we
still
don't
love
have a lot
me?
of information as to how the cryptid works, or
Would you
how
guys
many
still
there
would you
might
guys still
be.
love me?
But overall, he's pretty popular, and I get the appeal. So I'm gonna put him at B tier. After that, we've got the Fresno Nightcrawlers. These bizarre creatures were
Fucking love night crawlers. They're so
when a
wily.
man from Fresno, California, brought footage from his home security
I
camera
love
to
them.
the police.
Everyone
This footage
gangsta till the
depicts what can
pants
only
start
be described
walking.
as a walking pair of white pants moving across the front lawn. In 2011, a similar sighting occurred at Yosemite National Park. Several sightings have occurred in the years since, with some stretching all the way to Poland.
Everyone fucking gangsta till the pants start walking.
Many have attributed a timid, friendly visage to the Nightcrawler.
Fucking
Because
love.
of this, the Fresno Nightcrawler, though mysterious, is the
Okay, I look like a
legend
Pokemon. Yeah, I look like a
loved
Pokemon
and
now.
feared.
I'm
The
wearing my
cryptid community
Pokemon
typically
PNG
sees the
tuber.
Fresno Nightcrawler as like a
I'm
little
Dana
puppy
Meowth.
that
I'm
just
half
needs to
Meowth,
be
half
protected.
Charizard.
And while some of the stories
All
around it
cringe,
do
baby.
get across kind of a mysterious X-Files feel, like, for example, there's one story where a man had a patch of grass in his front yard that, regardless of what the season was, if it had rained, if it had snowed, it was always a bright green, dry patch of grass, and you never knew why. And then one night, he goes out at like 2 o'clock in the morning to see the Fresno Nightcrawler standing there, kind of implying it's this entity outside of time or space that affects the area around it. I mean, that's kind of creepy, but I mean, it's like a walking U shape that most people depict as fuzzy. My wife has little statues of it all over the house because she thinks it's cute. So not that terrifying, not that much definitive lore, but people like it and I get why. So it's going to B tier. Up next, we have the
Fresno
Megalodon.
Nightcrawler, my
The
absolute
Megalodon,
beloved.
or Big Tooth, is a now extinct species of super shark. This shark, suspected by science to
Does
be
not
extinct
exist.
for over 3 million years, could grow up to 70 feet in length and weigh over
Like, it's
100
just impossible for it to
metric tons.
exist.
Of course, this has sparked speculation.
There's
that
no
the
ocean
creature may
ecosystem
not
that
be
can support
extinct at
something
all.
like that. That's the
Given
problem.
discoveries like the coelacanth, science has been wrong about supposedly non-existent species before. And given the mysterious nature of the ocean and food chains within the deep exhibiting symptoms of unknown super predators,
Nope.
the legend of the Megalodon continues to haunt the seas.
Nope.
The Megalodon has quickly worked its way into the cultural lexicon as of late. Like, you could go up to any random Joe on the street who doesn't know anything about Fresno Nightcrawlers or Dover Demons, but you could ask him about Bigfoot or the Megalodon and he'll probably know what you're talking about. And it makes sense, right? Like, the Megalodon piques the natural curiosity of just our understanding of the sea. We know that things can get really big and we know that they can get really lethal. So the Megalodon is the natural conclusion of that with things like sharks, a creature that's already widely feared. That, combined with discoveries of giant teeth, as well as the mystery of the ocean itself, it makes sense why the legend is so widespread. That being said, big shark. So it's going to B tier. After that, we have the Mongolian deathworm. This elusive beast is said to stalk the Gobi Desert.
The
According to local
Mongolian
legend,
deathworm?
the
I've never heard of
flat,
this one.
blood-red worm that slithers beneath the sands of Mongolia.
Oh my
and can grow up
god.
to 3 feet in length. Many stories include
Oh my
mention
god,
of
wait, no, I've heard of
extremely lethal
this.
venom, hence the creature's name, and some even mention
Okay, no, I've heard of this, but I've heard of a different version. So there's a version of this Mongolian deathworm that lives in the tundra, right? And it lives in the tundra and it burrows through the snow and it's like woolly and it's like the thing that defines the tundra worm that I've heard of is that it's hungry. It's always eating, and it'll eat anything that gets in its mouth. And it's called the Alaskan bullworm from an episode of SpongeBob. I was spinning you a yarn. Mongolian death worm.
Electrical capabilities.
So dumb.
The wider world learned of the worm in 1926 when the
It sounds like spicy AF Chinese food.
was quoted while describing it. The legend is widespread across the Gobi, and despite the lack of evidence, it seems the people of the area are consistent in their belief, implying an unknown serpent may exist beneath the sea of sand. This one's always fascinated me, because the desert itself, much like the ocean, is a mysterious wasteland, at least to us. We know that there are creatures that can survive there, but it
Alaskan
is so
bullworm
that the thought of it is...
Can't believe the Alaskan bullworm is, like,
the ocean has
real
legends of serpents
for,
and
like,
monsters beneath the
2
waves,
minutes.
then the
That's so
sand deserves
funny.
it as well. And also the idea that there's just these worms that can shoot venom or electrocute you, and then if it kills you, it like shakes your body underneath the sand to be consumed. That's terrifying. And also the desert itself is so big, if a creature can exist beneath the sand, who knows how many things could be down there that we haven't charted.
Do you know how you can't swim in sand the way you can swim in water?
Related cultures across the desert have the same stories that corroborate off the other. Maybe they're onto something. It's scary, it's elusive, it's well-defined, so it's going at A tier. Next up, we've got the Ogopogo.
There's no way it's fucking
is
real.
the lake monster of the Okanagan Lake of British Columbia. The legend comes from the native legend of the Naitaka, a fierce spirit that only allowed safe passage across the lake if a blood sacrifice was made. However, with sightings beginning in the early 1900s, the spirit now held the reputation of a physical form. The name Ogopogo was given in 1924, and the creature is described as dark green with the head of a reptile and lengths up to 50 feet. This serpent is said to move incredibly fast, and despite rewards in the millions for definitive proof, no conclusive evidence has been found. This menacing monster remains a mystery to this day. It's always interesting to me when legends existed before a culture's documentation of it, and then that culture's documentation corroborates off what was previously said. The natives had a legend of a giant beast in the lake, and then in the 1900s, sightings began happening of a giant beast in the lake. Also, it's hilarious to me that the natives were like, oh, it's, you know, this dark spirit that is supposed to be respected. As a matter of fact, we made sacrifices to it. It's not to be messed with. And then the French settlers get there, and they're like, oh, the Ogopogo. All that being said,
Yeah.
it is once again another big Loch Ness Monster adjacent creature in the middle of a lake. So the Ogopogo is going to hang out at D tier with Champy. Now, let's talk about the Lizard Man. In Lee County, South Carolina, there exists a legend of a beast who roams the Scape or swamp. In 1988, reports began appearing around the swamp of a creature attacking those who leave their cars late at night.
I'd fuck it.
The thing was described as being 7 feet tall and possessing glowing red eyes and green, scaly skin. Over the summer of '88, several witnesses recounted the Lizard Man running at inhuman speeds and with impossible strength, ripping apart the fabric of their vehicles. While the string of sightings was short-lived, the gravity of the stories has existed in the public mind ever since. Nearly every culture has some mythos of a reptilian humanoid, and many believe that one of them may exist in the swamps of South Carolina. The Lizard Man is classic cryptid horror, and I love it. Don't leave your car late at night, or else the Lizard Man will come out of the swamp and kill you. And if you're lucky, he'll only scratch up your vehicle as you drive away. The lore around the Lizard Man itself is interesting for a deep dive. There were police investigations in the area into what might be causing this, because cars were showing up to police departments damaged. They had a theory that it may be a cult for a while, or some kind of sick prankster. And despite a massive police search, no evidence was found. Those who do believe in the Lizard Man say maybe it was some kind of reptilian humanoid that died after the summer of '88, or simply moved somewhere else. Regardless, it's creepy, it's cool, it's terrifying, so I'm putting it at A tier. There's gonna be a lot of people upset, I can already tell, that all of the humanoid stuff for me gets bumped up, and all of like the lake monster serpent stuff goes down. But it's my list, so...
Your tier list is biased!
But now, let's talk about the Thunderbird. The American countryside is home to this terrifying legend. From the native people of the Great Lakes to the West Coast, The Thunderbird was said to be a powerful spirit, which takes on the visage of a giant bird of prey.
Which
This being is
fucking
believed to be so
native
powerful that it creates
peoples?
thunder by flapping its wings and lightning
They're not a
from its
monolith,
face.
sir.
While not expressly evil and even benevolent to many tribes, the Thunderbird was believed to punish those who do wrong. Some believe the Thunderbird to be a still existent species of flying dinosaur, and sightings have continued into the modern age. The Thunderbird's just really cool. There were a lot of stories around the American Civil War of soldiers being out west, and many soldiers claiming to have shot at one or seen one fly down over their camp. A lot of the stories around the Thunderbird of like the Algonquin speaking tribes of the American Northeast are fascinating because the Thunderbird is kind of described as a caretaker or governor of the overworld or of like the realm of spirituality in the air. So it's seen there as more of like a spiritual figure, but in Western legends, it's much more physical, it's much more direct. So it's interesting how the creature worked its way into different cultures, all the way to sightings being reported during modern American history. And also, it's just a cool idea from like a horror perspective as well. Think about the idea of a bird that brings storms whenever it flies. Well, that would be a reason for why you never see it, because have you ever tried to look straight up during a thunderstorm? It can be hard to see, and it uses that cover to fly through the air. It's a fascinating myth. I like the Thunderbird a lot, so it's going to A tier. And keeping with the idea of currently undocumented groups of slightly larger renditions of pre-existing animals, we have the orang pendek. This creature is said to exist within the mountains of western Indonesia. For over a century, sightings of a bipedal primate have been reported in the region.
Well, it's just a little monkey man.
No primates of that size are documented in that region. Because of this, many believe the orang pendek, or short person, to be a missing link or Bigfoot adjacent beast. The creature has eluded researchers for some time, yet many believe the mountains of Indonesia to hold the next great biological discovery.
Oh, that's just
So
a
the
fucking
orang
monkey
pendek
man.
is
Oh, he's a
effectively an
monkey.
orangutan
That's an ape,
seen in an
baby.
area where
That's a
we don't
fucking
think
ape.
orangutans
I love monkeys. Do you guys know that I love monkeys? Do you know that I love them so much?
F tier. I'm sorry, I just can't. Because when I was researching
Monkey!
it, I'm like, oh, are there like no primates in the region? And everyone's like, no, there's a lot of primates in the region. Just no orangutan, so that's why it's a cryptid. And all the stories around it are like, oh no, you don't get it. The creature can be seen walking on two legs. And it's like, yeah, that's what orangutans do. I'm not saying that it is real or they do exist on that island or anything like that. I'm just saying if they do, I don't really care. It's literally just a creature that already exists. Honestly, it feels kind of bad putting it down here with the thylacine, because at least that has some mystery to it, like maybe it's not extinct. The orang's like, maybe this thing that we know definitely exists, does definitely exist, just over here. Yeah, maybe in like the 1800s, some sailor thought it'd be funny to drop one off at the island. I don't know. But here, to make it a bit better after giving something F tier, let's talk about a lake serpent thing that I actually like, and that is Caddy. Also known as the Cadborosaurus wilsey, is a sea monster first spotted off the coast of Cadboro Bay, British Columbia in 1933. Described as a horrible serpent with the head of a camel, the creature has been spotted hundreds of times along the shores of Canada. In 1937, a whaling ship in Vancouver discovered an unidentified 20-foot-long corpse within the stomach of a sperm whale. Naturally, many speculated this creature to be the same species as the mysterious Caddy. Given the immense and consistent sightings...
Oh, did you color your thing? Hey, Shanzi.
The legitimacy of its witnesses, many view Caddy as one of the most
Drop it in my
compelling
DMs.
examples of modern...
It's just a waste of time, but I love it. No, it's cute. I like it.
And the Caddy,
I thought it was adorable. I'm sorry I wasn't hyping you up more, but like, I got no brain. Hope you don't mind. Yeah, show me. Show me, I'm all in. Call me out or break me in. It's really cute.
There he goes. And he's like, oh, I found the Loch Ness Monster. But most of the sightings of Caddy come from ship
Drop your cute thing. I want to see it, bud.
One of the sightings came from a seasoned ship captain who had been in the business for decades.
Hi, Skittles.
Who, as
welcome.
soon as he gets to Cadboro Bay, he jumps off the boat and he's like, hey, we saw something really weird out there.
We're listening to the Cryptid Iceberg series by Wendigoon, and I'm doing line art of
Not
one
to
of my
mention,
player
like I said,
characters.
a corpse was pulled
This
out
is
of the
some
stomach of a sperm whale that
this
is
is some
to this
art
day
of one of my
unidentified.
player
Maybe there
characters.
was some
Their
unidentified
player
species
character
of
for
saltwater
a
life
campaign
or
I'm going to be running. I'm
sturgeon-esque
running a
creature, and maybe
Pokemon-themed
the
D&D
legends around it
campaign,
really mean
and I'm
something.
working on art
So
for
again,
it.
while I typically don't like just take a lake,
Welcome,
insert
glad to
Loch
have
Ness
you.
Monster there, the caddy feels more unique and legitimate than a lot of the others. Now, that being said, I still don't think it's that super cool.
Haven't been one of yours for some time. Yeah, I haven't been
But I can at
streaming.
least bump it up to the same tier as the Loch Ness Monster. It's also worth mentioning with a lot of these creatures, one of the reasons that I'm not...
Yeah, I just haven't been streaming a lot recently, so, you know,
even though I think
it is what it is.
scary, stuff like that, is because things like Caddy, yeah, I absolutely believe it could be real.
Oh, I'm not wearing my Yuki VTuber right now. I'm wearing, this is the PNG tuber I'm using right now. This is Dana Meowth, and Dana Meowth is the character I made that I'm gonna be as the dungeon master. So, yeah, show me.
And we find it, and it's like, oh, no, that definitely exists. Like, for example...
Hold on, Mondagoon, shut up. Oh, it's really cute. It's really cute. Hold on, I wanna download this. I wanna save this. This is really cute. I wanna show this on the stream. Let's save this as a GIF. There we go. Everyone look at this cute fucking thing my friend Shanzi just finished. It's really adorable. Oh, you can see it! There it is! You can see it! It's over there, it's just there. I just saved it so I could put it, like, on the stream, but you can see it right there. Well, let me put a better view. Isn't that fucking cute? I love the little smear frame of on the feet as they run. Look at him go! Look at him fucking go! Where's he going? I don't know, but he's cute and he's running while he's doing it. I love this little guy. This is fucking adorable. 1 billion out of 10. This is very cute. Do you have a little, like... Can you do, like, a little transparent version of it? I want if you can do a little transparent version of it, I'd love a little transparent version. That'd be cute. Like, the green is a really cute little backdrop, but a transparent version would be, like, a billion cute. Very cute. Very good. I like that a lot. You did a really good job with that. Oh, that's why the background's green, so you can, like, green screen it out. Oh, okay. I understand now. Might do a few more little things. Okay. Well, send me the transparent version when you're, like, done. Like, it's, like, got transparent, like, background.
If we were to discover Mothman, or the Jersey Devil, or something like that, it would immediately reshape our understanding of biology, of history, of spirituality, of the afterlife in some cases. It would immediately be a cosmic shakeup to everyone on the planet. But if we discover that Caddy or the Ogopogo or Champy are real, then it's just like, wow, that's kind of neat. So forgive me for saying that Big Fish isn't as cool as Bigfoot. So let's get back to my comfort zone of scary humanoids with the Beast of Bray Road. This creature is often referred to as the Werewolf of Wisconsin. According to local legend,
Werewolf of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin date back to 1936. However, the far more popular appearances occurred in the 80s.
Please fucking laugh. Can we laugh at that joke? I thought that was funny. Am I funny?
Stories arose of a werewolf within
Please
the
tell me I'm
backwoods of
funny.
Wisconsin. While no one was ever attacked, the beast was said to attack cars and chase those who were away from vehicles. It carries a foul odor and stands 7 feet tall. This menacing creature has solidified its place among America's dark pantheon. The Beast of Bray Road has always had a special place in my heart because I've talked about this before on the channel, but one of my first exposures to these creatures was the Animal Planet series Lost Tapes. And I never thought werewolves were scary. I was just like, okay, it's like a wolf on 2 legs, who cares? But then I saw some paintings and pictures of how actually menacing a creature like that might be. And the fear of the Wolfman has stuck with me ever since. Now, the story around the actual Beast of Bray Road is pretty cool, because again, the author Linda Godfrey is the one who brought a lot of this to light. According to her, she went to her local police department after hearing stories of these creatures and asked if the police knew anything about it, and the police chief walked into the back of the police department and handed her a file labeled werewolf. because the police had so many calls and reports of this creature that they just kept a file of it in the back. And a lot of the legends around the Beast of Bray Road bring out a lot of what I love in modern American horror. The idea of this sleepy small town being terrorized by something going bump in the night. It hits the spot for me where I love the stories around it a lot. So while I would typically say it's just mid because, again, just a werewolf, the legends around it are what make it fun. So I'm bumping it up to B tier. After that, we have the Owlman. The Owlman was first spotted in Cornwall, UK in 1976.
But if I was an
Two
owl
young
man, would
girls
you guys
saw
still
a
like me?
monster atop the St. Monin and St. Stephen's Church. Author Tony Shields investigated the story and, after receiving a drawing of the creature from one of the young girls, dubbed it Owlman. This figure has massive wings and glowing red eyes and can emit a loud shriek like that of a screech owl. Sightings in the region continued for the next decade, and the haunting presence of the Owlman has existed ever since. Now, you probably heard all that and said, huh, that sounds familiar. And yeah, it really does. The Owlman sighting came a decade after the Mothman sighting, and then a creature was spotted that looked exactly like the Mothman, and some dude from Britain was like, oh, is that an owl? If you're from Britain and you're offended that I did a British impression, knock it off, or else I'll tell them that you didn't pay your TV license. Owlman is instantly F tier for me. It is just a ripoff of this scripted trying to be special while adding nothing. Next up, we have a personal favorite of mine, the Flatwoods Monster. Also known as Braxy due to its appearance in Braxton County, West Virginia. On September the 12th of 1942, 3 boys saw a light flash across the sky and land in the woods. After informing 4 others, including a National Guardsman, the group went into the woods and saw what they described as a tall, red-faced humanoid creature wearing a giant suit that culminated in a spade-shaped dome. After the monster began gliding towards the group, they ran. Since then, some sightings arose and the culture around the creature quickly caught on. The Flatwoods Monster is believed to be an extraterrestrial and is often depicted as a being who landed on Earth before disappearing back into the stars. So the Flatwoods Monster is one of the few cryptids that I have been to the location of in person. I've been to the museum, I've been by the location that the sighting took place. They even have this local challenge in the town where there are 5 different giant chairs shaped like Braxy located around the county. And if you go take a picture at all 5 of them, you get a cute little sticker. Which
that's adorable.
We even have a lot of Braxy merchandise just around the house, like this guy is a little lantern that you can turn on. And I love the legend of it a lot. And one of the reasons I love it so much is because of the culture and era that it speaks to. The story itself is drenched in tellings of the era. It's 1942, so there's a National Guardsman in West Virginia ready to go on post who runs out with these boys because maybe it's an attack from Germany or Japan. And then the idea of this giant alien creature inside of a suit of metal speaks heavily to all of the old creature from outer space horror ideas that were present at the time. And the way the legend has shifted over the years, because initially it was believed maybe Braxy was this giant creature, or the Flatwoods Monster as it was called. Maybe it was this creature that was looking to lobotomize you or melt you with a laser gun. But then over the years, the Flatwoods Monster became more of Braxy and just became a story of a creature that got lost on its way home. It's a fascinating legend that has changed and manipulated with the times, and overall is scary, it's got a unique story, it's interesting both visually and narratively. So for me, easy S tier. After that, we have the Goatman. While the first recorded records of the Goatman appear in the 1970s, the legends that built the myth are far older. Goatman is described as a creature with the head of a goat and body of a man. Legends of the cryptid begin
There's a pretty sick creepypasta about the Goatman that goes pretty hard.
Any caught in the woods at night may be stalked by the dreaded figure. The legend similarly has roots in Louisville, Kentucky, colloquially known as the Public Monster, and Denton, Texas. Stories of its origin vary from that of a science experiment gone wrong to legends of a demon brought up from hell, given its demonic overtones. The Goatman mythos is as long-lasting.
So I'm pausing the Goatman section because I'm from Texas. This is not deep lore. Yuki is from Texas. We all know this. It is just a fun fact that if you are a Yuki fan, you probably know that Yuki is from Texas. I live in the middle of nowhere. I live, like, on the edge of this 2-lane highway, like, total middle of fucking nowhere. But I will say that I'm an hour and a half-ish outside of Dallas, so I'm reasonably close. I'm in the wheelhouse of, like, Denton, Texas, where the Goat Man is from, right? Like, the Goat Man's Bridge, I know where that is, kind of thing, because I'm vaguely from that area. You know, I at the very least know of it, and I know where it is, and I can point it out on a map just because I've lived here my whole life, kind of thing, right? Anyway, so I want to tell you guys a story about the Goat Man that is, like, it's a personal story that I have. It's not scary, but it's very funny because it kind of shows what the fuck is up with these, like, cryptid hunts, right? Let me tell you the story of the Goat Man. So, I remember ages ago, this is a long time ago, like probably 20 years ago, closer to 25 or 30. And there had been a recent Goat Man sighting in the area, right? And I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. But there's like a lake-ish area. There's like a lake, like 45 minutes to an hour where the Goat Man had been spotted, and people hang out at that lake, right? So the Goat Man had been spotted at this lake, and for like 6 weeks, there was Goat Man fever in like this entire like hour radius from where that sighting was, of people like on the weekends going out to look for the Goat Man and shit like that. And the Goat Man was described very, very similarly to how he's described in the legends, of like big and like furry and like messy and, you know, covered in dirt and like yelly and all sorts, like the Goat Man, right? And one of the guys, I work at a security company, right? Which is a lot of like rough and tough Texas types. And one of the guys who I work with at my company went out during this Goat Man heyday, right? And went out to try and find the Goat Man. And he had a plan, because he's, you know, a rough, tough Texas boy. He knows like how to hunt critters, you know? He knows how to hunt deer, how to hunt stuff. So what he did was he had a full ghillie suit. And he took some rations, and he took his gun, and he went out in his full ghillie suit. A ghillie suit is like a tactical suit where you have like stuff that looks like seaweed on you, or like leaves and stuff on your body, and it's like full camo, like full face camo, full body camo with like leaves and stuff. A ghillie suit. Look up what a ghillie suit is if you don't know what I'm talking about. But he looked like that, and he went out in this ghillie suit, and the idea was he would go out in this ghillie suit and he would lay low, and he would wait for the creature to come by or come to him. Like, that's what you do when you hunt, right? You hunker down, you settle in, and you get waiting for something to come by. And that's what he did. And he realized he was out there for a couple hours, and he heard people yelling and tromping through the woods and hiking and scaring off any potential game, obviously. And they were also, like, he could tell just by listening to them as they were going through the woods, that they were also looking for the Goat Man. And at this point, he paused. He looked down at himself, dressed in a full ghillie suit, and he realized that he looked like a Goat Man, because he was a big guy in a big, crazy, like, vaguely fuzzy suit, because, you know, it has, like, fake leaves and stuff on it to help you blend in with the natural environment on a ghillie suit. And he realized that these woods were most likely crawling with people trying to do exactly what he was trying to do. And he realized that he was a very Goatman-shaped target. And he got the hell out of Dodge before he got shot by some idiot who was also looking for the Goatman. It just, like, every time I hear about, like, cryptids, like cryptid hunts and stuff, I always think of that story just because, you know, yeah, that is kind of what it's like. You know, Occam's razor, the most likely explanation is probably the correct one. The Goatman probably just was a guy in a ghillie suit hunting for deer. And yeah, it's just funny thinking about how someone I work with at my job almost got shot because they were hunting the Goatman like 25 years ago. It's just funny. It's just funny to me. It's just funny to me. Anyway, yeah, we can go back to listening to Wengoon talk about the Goatman.
As it is terrifying. On my podcast, The Red Thread, we spent 2 hours talking about the lore and legacy behind this creature. Link to that's in the description. I won't belabor the same points now. But the short version is it's so interesting how the Goatman is the culmination of all these different strings of culture. It is pieces of biblical belief regarding demons, goats, what have you. It is cultural beliefs of creatures in the woods that might kill you, and then it combines with like the satanic panic movement of, you know, that was happening around like the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. And it's just a really cool story that combines a lot of different stories and ideas into one myth. That being said, the thing that holds it back from being an S tier for me, because otherwise, you know, scary design, cool stories around it, cool appearance, what have you. The thing that holds it back is that it's been very muddled in recent years. Like, it's brought in aspects of skinwalker belief and Wendigo belief to create a creature that's like partially its own thing, but also takes a lot of stuff from others. So because it's not that unique anymore, I've got to bring it down to A tier, but still one of my favorite all-time cryptids. And then finally, for tier 2, we have the Wendigo, which, if you couldn't tell by all that, if you couldn't tell by all that, as well as, you know, the name that's down there right now, it's an immediate S tier, but for good reason. The Wendigo, or Wentekawa, is a legend birthed from the cold lands of the Algonquin-speaking tribes of northern North America. According to Cree legend, if any person were to consume the flesh of another human, a dark spirit would possess them. This spirit would contort their body, turning them into an emaciated monster with an insatiable hunger for flesh, and skin as that of a frozen corpse. Their body grew cold and their features ghastly. Elongated fangs and nails accenting a lipless face among sunken, glowing eyes. These hunters have supernatural abilities of strength and speed, and use those abilities to feed on any unfortunate enough to be caught alone in the woods. As the legend grew, it began to mix with aspects of other creatures, adopting the frame of giants in some incarnations and the features of animals it had consumed in others. The Wendigo not only represents a conglomeration of stories told for centuries, but even the definitively real horrors of the time, as many believe the Wendigo mythos to be formed from those who went mad after harsh winters would force them to consume their dead or living family. Stories of the Wendigo have pervaded the American myth for centuries, and the impact of this monstrous entity is undoubtedly all too real. There is a reason I named my channel after this creature. Not only did I grow up with the story so it's personal to me, but the story itself represents so much. The sort of dark harbinger it originally presented, to never consume the flesh of another. And in some variations of the tale, it was a warning against things like greed or gluttony. It didn't expressly have to be cannibalism, but ultimately the human condition of needing more. It was a cautionary tale against that. And all of these stories that came out of the time period, men who would eat their family and then say a dark spirit possessed them to do so. There were men who were expressly hired to hunt down and kill these possessed people. And most of the legends around killing them involve either silver or burning the heart of this otherwise cold, dead beast. And then as the story came into the modern age, it mixed with a lot of other cultural beliefs, like how skinwalkers can mimic the voices of their prey, or can put on the skin of things they've killed. this kind of worked its way into the Wendigo mythos. Now, the modern age, you see like the antler imagery everywhere, and that image of it got popularized in modern horror fiction with stories like Stephen King's Pet Sematary. It is so many different parts of the American mythos all rolled into one. It is as terrifying as it is important, and for those reasons and many more, it is my favorite cryptid. And with that, we have an excellent place to end Tier 2. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the iceberg you saw in Part 1 is going to change moving forward. I'll instead be using my own iceberg in the episodes moving forward, and I've already changed this Tier 2 to a large degree. And in the end, this is all to hopefully make better videos for you all. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed whatever this word vomit was. Thank you for sticking around this long, and I just want to say thank you for watching. I'm really enjoying this series. It feels so good to finally talk about cryptids, something that I've been teasing and wanting to do for a long time. And thank you all so much for sticking around for it. It means the world. Only things I really have to say is, again, this guy, link in the description. Check him out. Available for a very short amount of time, then he's gone forever. Top of the description. Have fun with that if you want.
Alright, what's episode 3 on this?
Hey, so remember how in the last video I said that I was going to be reworking the iceberg to add like more interesting things and stuff that I just think would work for the series, and how I said it was going to be about the same size? Well, I had one of my
Nice, thank you.
and decided to just keep adding more and more stuff, and then
Yay!
the
I have
that was
him!
previously, like,
Man, that's my
80 to
favorite gift, so I
100
can use
terms,
that.
now looks like
That's
this.
very
So
cute.
I don't think we're finishing this in December. At least not this December. I have compiled an iceberg of 350 different cryptids. Now, I don't think I got every cryptid in the world, but I do think I at least got nearly every type of cryptid in the world. For example, nearly every culture has some kind of werewolf figure or some kind of Bigfoot figure, so maybe I didn't get every specific one, but I got all the big ones. So hopefully this massive list can satisfy whatever I'm trying to prove to myself. A link to the iceberg image will be in the description, and when I posted this on Twitter, some people were confused as to why it seemed that some things near the bottom of the iceberg were more well-known than stuff around the middle. And the reason for that is I didn't entirely structure this iceberg off of known to unknown, because then like the bottom 3 tiers would be just a bunch of really obscure dog-looking things that were reported in the jungle one time, and I don't really think that would make for an interesting finale to the series. So instead, I have ranked this iceberg by vibes. Like with the beginning, we're still sticking with the well-known stuff,
vibes.
but as the iceberg goes down, it gets to a lot more of the obscure and strange, especially around the middle, but then at the bottom, it gets to the ethereal, or the spectral. Like sure, the iceberg still starts with a lot of the well-known famous cryptids, but then as you go down, it starts to get to more of the unknown cryptids, and then at the bottom, it starts to get to the more obscure or paranormal or almost ethereal cryptids. That's because I wanted to rank this iceberg by more so the enjoyment factor that you all should get throughout the series. For now, we continue to talk about the creepy and the monstrous, and then we get into more implications, things that maybe didn't go extinct, or things that restructure how we look at the biological tree, and then by the bottom of it,
Is she the inspiration for this? Yeah. What were you looking at while you were making this little guy?
That shouldn't exist or warp our understanding of reality. At the end of the day, I'm trying to entertain you all.
Look at
so
him
I've
go.
structured this iceberg
So
off
cute.
what I believe to be the most entertaining way to do this.
Yeah, send
And
it. I
I'll
want
be
to see.
completely honest, there were a lot of terms that didn't really fit in anywhere, so I just used a random number generator.
It has
and
sound. I will watch
assigned
it later.
them to one of the 18
But I
tiers.
can assume
Again, we've
I can
already
assume
covered the
where
first 2 tiers of
where the
this
idea came
iceberg
from.
in
I'll check it
parts
out when
1
I'm
and
not
2 of
streaming.
this series.
But thank you for
And
sharing.
I apparently wasn't miserable enough, so we'll see how it goes from here. I'm also going to leave links in the description to a lot of the websites that I pulled these names from. Websites like the Cryptozoology Files or the Cryptid Wiki go a long way into giving me a bunch of names of things I've otherwise never heard of. To be honest, I have no idea why I did this to myself. When I began the series, thought that 100 terms may be a bit much, and then I'm like, okay, I'll do it for myself and make it 350. It probably speaks to some greater level of imposter syndrome or self-deprecation that I have, or other things that I don't have time to think about. But what I do have time to think about is creepy monsters. Since we're getting into a list of things that are weird and unsettling and frankly long, and this series will almost certainly be something that leads to another one of my episodes, let's tread into these dark waters with a friend by our side. And that friend is today's sponsor, who we've all come to know and love, AG1. AG1,
I'm not buying your juice.
Back to the video.
God, that was such a long ad read.
Always.
I'm not buying your juice, man.
I'm also realizing, looking at this, that I'm going to have to make the names a lot smaller to fit 350 terms up there. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. With all of that out of the way, we are now on to Tier 3. Beginning with the Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins. On August the 24th...
Oh, I love the Hopkinsville
Christian
Goblins.
County,
I love these little
Kentucky,
guys.
became the site of a new addition to America's Boogeymen. That night, 12 members of the Sutton household arrived at the local police station, claiming to have held off over a dozen small creatures with gunfire for the past 4 hours. 16 officers from several departments investigated the Sutton household and determined that, while no creatures were found, a shootout took place from within the home.
Look at those little guys!
The family left town after telling neighbors that they had seen the creatures again. In the years since, the legend has grown into that of 3 feet tall, beady-eyed, green aliens who are residents of the Kentucky woods and attack any who
I
happen
love
upon
these
the
dumb little
Kelly
motherfuckers. I
Hopkinsville
love them
area.
so much.
The goblins
Hello.
are fun creatures. I was born in Kentucky, and a lot of my family had stories about being out in the woods late at night and running into these like little gremlin things peering out from behind a tree. And I also just really love whenever a cryptid has like an origin moment, like there's one specific event, like with things like the Jersey Devil or the Flatwoods Monster, that caused the legend to birth from a starting point. Both because I think it's more interesting narratively, and also if one of these creatures was to be real, then there probably would be a single sighting that changed cultures and mindsets in the region. It's cool, it's creepy, and it's a classic, so I'm calling it A tier. After that, we have the giant rabbit. Tales of giant rabbits, or hares, have existed across the world's cultures for centuries. Notable among these legends is that of Australian
I'm tired of my eyes hurt. I'm gonna
prospectors
go to bed.
who,
Good night.
in the 1800s, claimed to see rabbits 9 feet long and 12 feet tall.
Thanks for hanging out. It
Other
was good seeing
sightings,
you.
like the 5-foot-tall Tit Canyon rabbit spotted in 1969 near Los Angeles.
Your
add
little
to the
guy is
sum
very
of
cute. You did a
legendary
very good
legends
job with
across the
him.
globe.
Yeah, I'm
These
just
diverse
chilling.
and reoccurring appearances
We're all
imply
just
that
chilling
a
and having a
rare,
good time. Not really
undocumented
trying to
species of
do anything
hare
too
may
crazy.
exist just beyond our understanding.
Have a good
You'll
sleep.
hear giant rabbits mentioned in a lot of tall tales or legends from the American West, stories of a group of settlers being attacked by an entire nest of giant rabbits. Or you'll hear stuff from the Australian continent of people who see giant rabbits like destroy their crops or attack their wildlife. I do want to mention though that I think the note of giant rabbits inside of the Australian interior is really stupid. Because do you know what prospectors in the 1800s were probably seeing?
Kangaroos.
So that being said, giant rabbits appear in a lot of different cultures and can sometimes be used for comedic or interesting effect, which barely makes it get into D tier for me because otherwise it's just a big rabbit. Up next we have a term that isn't a cryptid but something I want to talk about. BB. And that is the 1934 BB dive sightings. Basically, from 1930 to 1934, a biologist named William Beebe and a bathysphere designer named Otis Barton became the first people to observe deep-sea creatures in their natural habitat. They
That's
did
pretty
this
cool.
by hooking a bathysphere up to the side of a boat, descending to great depths, and in addition to breaking several diving records during their excursions, they also discovered several new species of fish. Through the small 8-inch portholes in the bathysphere, Beebe described creatures that he called the giant dragonfish, the pallid sailfin, the 5-star constellation fish, and many more. It's interesting that such a short glimpse into underwater life can yield so many new discoveries. But perhaps the most terrifying part of the discovery is that these fish that Beebe found have never definitively been seen again.
Well, that's
There's
pretty
a lot
cool.
of theories that maybe the constellation fish was what we know now to be a type of jellyfish, or that maybe the dragonfish was in actuality an oarfish. The reason I wanted to bring it up as a non-applicable, even though it's not really a cryptid, is because it serves as a testament to how mysterious the ocean can be. It seems that every time we go down there, we discover something new, and it serves as a grim reminder that we shared this planet with something that is almost entirely unknown. After that, we have Peppy. Peppy is the monster
Peppy.
of the Mississippi River. Named after Lake Pepin of the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, Peppy is said to stalk the whole of the river, with popular sightings of him occurring in and around Iowa. What makes Peppy intriguing amongst the competition of sea serpents in inland bodies of water is that native people along the massive Mississippi River all held legends of a beast beneath the water.
Peppy is such a good name for a monster thing. Peppy.
Could extend beyond
Peppy.
cultures and traditions.
It's fun to say.
This in
Peppy.
combination with sightings of massive serpents spotted near Lake Pepin, dating back to newspaper reports from the 1870s, further support the legend.
Peppy.
In 2008, a $50,000 bounty was placed for definitive evidence of the creature.
I'm just gonna have Peppy as an echolalia now. I'm just gonna say Peppy.
Unclaimed.
Peppy.
Peppy's cool and all.
Peppy!
You know, another Loch Ness monster type creature
Peppy.
inside of an inland body of water. Never seen one of those before. And yeah, the Mississippi has a lot of legends and lore behind it, so I get it. But we all know how I feel about really big fish.
Peppy.
It's a D tier for me. You
Boo,
honestly, I
Peppy.
don't even have a problem with big fish. As a matter
Peppy.
of fact, like lakes having legends
Peppy.
of giant.
Peppy is
bass
such a
or
fun
whatever,
name.
or one
Fuck.
we're actually gonna look at in a second.
Fuck,
Those are cooler
Peppy.
to me than just taking the Loch Ness monster and putting it in a different lake. It's just so reductive.
Peppy.
These are gonna get moved down to F tier if I keep thinking about it. We'll move on. And now
Peppy.
you all get to hear more of my horrific mispronunciations, because up next we have the Mukade Kujira. Japanese for whale centipede. This creature was first reported in 1709 and is described as the size of a whale, having 5 fins, a mane, red skin, and is highly poisonous. While this
Peppy.
specific sighting is often
I
relegated
keep thinking about Peppy. It's such a fun
culture,
name.
it
It's such
does
a good
coincide
name.
with other sea centipede sightings across the world. These many-finned creatures could be some undocumented species of arthropod or a great species of ancient sea monster. See, here we're getting some uniqueness, something interesting. It's as big as a whale, but it's a whale centipede because it has all these different fins and it's got a lion's mane. That's neat. I like that. It's not like there's a ton
not
more
Peppy.
to it. I'm going to put it at C tier, but it's not just copy-pasting the Loch Ness monster into whatever you want your tourist destination to be. That was a bit harsh. I don't know why I'm so mad at, like, Champy and the Ogopogo.
Stop talking about Peppy like this.
Myself later. Now we have the legend of the Skinwalker. The Navajo have a legend of an accursed being that can mimic the appearance and voices of their victims. Witches, those who practice sinister magic composed of malice and death, can give themselves to their practice and become a beast capable of stealing the skin of others. In some variations, the Skinwalker is able to take the form of those they kill, and in others, mimics animals of trickery, such as a coyote. The Skinwalker serves as an antagonist to many Navajo legends, yet stories of animals, and even people, seen behaving strangely in the American West lead many to believe that this myth isn't a myth after all.
Hey, you know what else makes you behave strangely and act in a weird, almost zombie-like manner? You know what else makes you fucking do that? Which might give rise to legends in the Old West before the rise of medicine? You know what else does that? You know what else makes creatures act oddly and strangely and in an eerie manner that you find instinctually off-putting? You know what does that? You know what does that? Rabies. Vaccinate your pets. Rabies. It's fucking rabies. Rabies. That's what does that. Rabies does that. Okay, that's all I'll say. Rabies.
A lot
Peppy.
of people just think it's a Wendigo.
Peppy has
out
rabies.
West, but the legends are very different.
Peppy.
Legends of Skinwalkers come from stories of people who practice taboo arts and medicine, and eventually turned themselves into a spirit of trickery, a mimic of evil. I'm sure that we've all probably heard stories or seen videos of animals acting strange or of a call in the night that doesn't sound quite right. And the Skinwalker places itself perfectly in the uncanny valley of our knowledge of nature. It's really cool and really scary, so I'm calling it A tier. After that, we have the Malagillage.
This man did not say a single goddamn thing about rabies.
Spotted in the southern region of
Worst iceberg ever.
hundreds. They are described as having reddish
Oh well, I guess the fun of it
tails,
is like
humanoid
believe for like
face,
5
and
seconds
long
that this
hair.
shit might be real.
Reportedly, these
That's
beings
probably why people
even
watch this,
managed
right?
livestock in the form of black camels.
Oops.
According to legend, the king of Kurdisara once gave a malagillage to the Sultan of Bakhmimi. I am so sorry for mispronouncing everything I just said. Many believe these stories to be of an undocumented or missing link humanoid that, if discovered, could reshape our understanding of humanity. There's several legends like this, especially in areas like Africa or South America that have these vastly uncharted regions of wildlife. There's always some kind of legend of either a really short humanoid group of people or a really tall humanoid group of people living in tribes in the middle of the wilderness.
Peppy.
And the malagillage is an interesting
Hello,
example of
P-R-E-T.
that.
Pret?
The note of them
Pre-T?
having tails is unique
Pre-T?
as well.
Hello,
There's
how are
been
you?
some historians who theorize maybe
We're doing
it
art,
was a
and
group
we are
of
listening
shorter
to
people
the cryptid
who
iceberg
wore, like, animal
from
pelts
Wendigoon, and I
from a
am
distance
complaining
looked
about
like
it.
they had a tail.
And he was just
But then
telling
there's
us
other legends
a little
of
bit
them
ago
being
about a
captured in
cryptid
cages
named Peppy,
and sent
and
as
I think that's the
diplomatic
cutest
gifts
fucking
to
name
other
for a sea
cultures.
monster I've ever
Even if
heard.
it doesn't say a lot about biology,
Peppy.
it does
It's a
say a lot
great
about
name.
cultures and storytelling. So I'm putting it at C tier. Next up, we've got the Lutoyu Lang. This cryptid hails from the rural plains of China, and its name means donkey-headed wolf. Its appearance is exactly that. A wolf with the head
Sea
of
monster?
a horse
Yeah,
or
yeah.
donkey, meaning the animal has the
We're
ability
listening
both
to,
name and
like
bark.
a
Legend of the
iceberg
horse-like
video essay
carnivore
about
date back
cryptids and sea
and as
monsters
recently
and
as
big
the
feet,
mid-1900s,
Bigfoots and stuff.
or even killing one of
And he was
these
just talking
creatures.
about a sea monster a
This
minute ago.
apex predator
He's talking
could
about
be an either
some other
undiscovered or
critter now that I've never heard of.
that is careful
Some kind of
to
fictional
avoid
lore.
mankind
Kind of, like, you know,
from its
mythology, you know,
This
Bigfoot
one's
and
pretty
stuff.
to the point.
That's kind of what he's
It's
talking
wolf,
about, and I just think it's kind of
its head looks
interesting.
like a horse. That's weird. But people up until the last century have reported seeing them and even hunting them. So maybe this is a species of wolf that has gone extinct in recent history. And rather than being the head of a horse just transplanted onto a wolf, is instead a wolf.
Like Slenderman. Slenderman's not really like a cryptid, because like cryptids are things that like might exist, we just haven't proven their existence yet. Slenderman is just more like a boogeyman, you know? Slenderman's really sick though, I fucking love Slenderman. I was like super obsessed with Slenderman like back in the day.
Next up, we've got the Wawasee sturgeon. Lake Wawasee of Indiana is home to a tale of a giant fish. Sturgeons are known as one of the largest species of freshwater fish in North America, and although uncommon,
Talking about like myths and legends, stuff like that. Yeah, something similar.
on rare occasions in the
We're
lake.
listening to this guy talk about it, and I'm occasionally piping up with what I think about what he's saying. As I'm just kind of listening to it as background noise for
the lake was teeming
while I'm
with
working on
species
this. I'm
before
doing
a
art.
single member grew to a size and appetite beyond the rest. Reports of a super sturgeon up to 20 feet long appear in local circuits on occasion. Given that known species of sturgeon can live in excess of 100 years, this mega variant could date true to the
Yeah,
old
Loch
legend
Ness
that
Monster
has
and
become
stuff.
tied to
Yeah.
it. The rare case of people feeling a quick tug from beneath the water implies that a creature of voracious appetite may be testing the surface for new prey. Okay, so remember how earlier I said I don't like just taking the Loch Ness Monster and putting it into lakes? This one's different enough for me. I do love a good fisherman's tale, and the story of one fish that out-ate the rest and became this gigantic, record-setting member of its species is
Do I work
pretty
on
cool.
comics?
Especially
Not
when there's,
really.
like,
I don't make a
historical
lot of
evidence
comics.
that kind of drives the point home. Like,
I
sure,
don't.
sturgeon
I
were
actually don't
caught
draw a
in
whole lot
pretty good
anymore.
amounts at one point in
What
the
I'm
lake,
working
but
on
they quit
today
for some reason.
is
That reason is because of
I'm
how
running
big
a
it started to
like a
eat
D&D
the rest.
campaign.
Also, sturgeon have
But
always
it's gonna
just
be
kind of
like
freaked me out
Pokemon D&D.
because they can get
So I'm
to
drawing
massive
all of
sizes
my
and
player
just exist in
characters
freshwater lakes
in that
around
D&D
northern parts
campaign.
of the United States. So as a
Who's
kid
the
who grew up
gremlin?
just learning
Oh,
to swim,
right,
I
yeah.
would have
I
that
forgot I'm not
knowledge
using my
in the
normal
back of my
VTuber
head
model today.
that biologically, one of those
The
things
PNG tuber I'm using
I was
today
saying this to myself
is
in
named
Tennessee,
Dana
but it made
Meow,
sense to me.
and it's a
Sure,
character I
just a
came
big
up
fish,
with
but I like it more than a
that
lot
I'm
of
gonna
its
be,
ripoffs,
you
so I'm
know,
gonna put it at C tier.
existing
Next up, we've
as
got
the
personal
dungeon
favorite of
master. of the campaign that I'm playing.
Rhinelander, Wisconsin,
So,
told
yeah.
tale of a beast that roams the tree line. The legend gained fame in 1893 when lumbermen reported a series of altercations.
Can I eat it? Please do not eat Dana Meowth. I like Dana Meowth.
Dynamite killing and photograph. Its appearance is described by ExploreRhinelander.com as, quote, the head of a frog, the grinning face of a giant elephant, thick, short legs set off by huge claws, the back of a dinosaur, and a long tail with spears at the end. The hodag also had green eyes, huge fangs, and 2 horns sprouting from its temples.
Whenever I see a tiny gremlin, I want to eat it. Do not eat Dana Meowth. Very rude. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. Shadow. Mr. Shadow the Hedgehog.
Experiencing cruelty at their master's hand, and now, invigorated with hellfire and revenge, seek to harm those who find themselves alone in the woods of Wisconsin. I love the hodag so much, and for a few reasons. For one,
what tiny gremlin? The little PNG tuber I'm using.
Just stealing Bigfoot or Nessie, like we've talked about, and just making that their cryptid. They need to be unique with it, and it is hard to get more unique than the hodag. A little gremlin, tiny dinosaur bulldog-looking thing that breathes fire and has got horns. That's cool. That's unique.
That's cute.
And also the
I like to
idea
live on
that
the edge.
hodag is born
I never really got into Pokemon stuff. Pokemon's pretty cool. I really like Pokemon, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this Pokemon D&D campaign idea I had.
The hodag's also part of
so yeah.
this greater realm of cryptids I like a lot called the fearsome critters, which is basically stories like this that lumbermen would tell each other, or hunters or trappers would tell each other. Basically creatures that they need to be afraid of at camp at night, or that have really interesting rules or appearances or behavior about them. Some of the most interesting ideas from American folklore come from these fearsome critters, and the hodag's one of them.
You like Pokemon because of the furry art.
You'll hear stories of lumbermen.
I've been informed by my legal counsel that I should not answer that question.
There's warnings to not go sleep in a
I only really know Pikachu memes. Yeah, that's fair. Pikachu's the, like, iconic mascot for a reason.
It's got a cool backstory. It's used in interesting ways. To be honest, I think it might be an S tier. Because, like, sure, these are probably my 3 favorite cryptids, the ones that are already up there. But I don't just want to have 3 S tier for the whole series, and the hodag's personal favorite of mine. So yeah, it's going to be an S tier. You know, after doing that, it doesn't seem right that the hodag is above the Jersey Devil. Alright, fine. Jersey Devil's an S tier as well. What's the point of having a whole tier up here if I don't use it, right? And looking at it, those are my 5 favorite cryptids that I've covered so far. Cool, I like it. Next up, we have the Siren. Cultures throughout our
Have you heard that some YouTubers are retiring? Yeah, a lot of YouTubers are, you know, either slowing down their content journeys or not doing content anymore. Yeah, pretty crazy.
The legends of creatures with the
Do I believe in any of these myths?
That tear apart men without
really interesting because I've actually been talking about a lot of these cryptids and monsters that this guy's been talking about when he starts talking about them, and I've been giving my thoughts. My general idea on a lot of these, like, myths and monsters is that it would be cool if they existed. But you can't just look at a monster, like, in terms of just, oh, this is a cool monster, right? If, like, let's take Bigfoot, for example, or the Loch Ness Monster. Let's look at Bigfoot. Bigfoot is described as being this massive ape-like creature that lives in North America. And it specifically lives in, like, Yosemite National Park and places like that, right? And the thing about Bigfoot in particular is that because of where Bigfoot lives, that makes Bigfoot a little bit more plausible as Bigfoot might exist. Because national parks and such in America have such a wide amount of, like, biodiversity and such a great amount of stuff in the environment that could potentially, very, 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 very unlikely, but could maybe potentially support a massive ape like Bigfoot, right? But versus if we look at something like the Loch Ness Monster, the Loch Ness Monster lives in a lake, right? And the lake, being a small, closed environment, has a kind of like a maximum that it can support. And a giant dinosaur-like creature is not something that could reasonably live in a lake and not starve to death, right? Because there's just not enough stuff in the ecosystem of that lake to support a giant dinosaur. Even if it's just like, and also like, the giant dinosaur isn't going to live forever. There has to be a population of giant dinosaurs living in this lake. And a lake cannot support even a small population of giant dinosaurs that can live and breed and make babies and continue living on and on. Yeah. Isn't Bigfoot like a spiritual creature? I don't know if Bigfoot is considered something that's like spiritual, but it's definitely a critter of some kind. You an interesting critter, bro. You know, that's the vibe with Bigfoot that I've gotten. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion. So when there's ideas of like creatures that like live in the woods and stuff, I always weigh, okay, what do I know about this environment? What could reasonably be sustained in where people are reporting this creature is living, right? And a lot of times the answer you come up with is there's no fucking way something like that could live there, you know? Humans have higher chances of misunderstanding things. Definitely. I told a story earlier. I think you guys weren't here in chat, but I told a story about how a guy I work with at my job, he went hunting for the goat man, which is one of these like cryptid monsters. And he realized while he was out hunting for the goat man that since he was in like full camo, he was exactly the kind of thing that would get mistaken as a goat man if people saw him out looking for the goat man. So he like had to quickly hightail it the fuck out of there before people started shooting at him because they thought he was a monster. Yeah, like humans will just misunderstand things and will turn to ridiculous explanations before thinking for longer than 2 seconds about what's actually feasible, you know? So, yeah, definitely. What about hearing stories of, like, the crying lady ghost? Those are common in my country. Here's the thing. Crying lady ghosts? You know that phrase, women be shopping? Women be crying! Like, of course there's tales of crying lady ghosts. People cry! And the cries of women specifically are something that, you know, culturally are given a lot of weight. There's a reason why, like, white woman tears is a thing, is like a phenomena people know about. And if you don't know what white woman tears are, I'm not getting into it. But, like, yeah, women be crying! So of course there's gonna be crying lady ghosts in every culture in the world. Because women be crying! Anyway, I'm gonna listen to... It's like the story of Sherlock Holmes, Hounds of Baskerville. Yeah, exactly! Sherlock Holmes is pretty dope.
Ancient sailors told legend of a mermaid rendition of the beast. Passerbys were tempted to enter the water by beautiful women with sweet songs, only to then be dragged to the depths. Stories of the siren made their way into several Eastern Hemisphere cultures, such as that of the siren, and stories of mysterious women leading men to their grave continue around the world to this day. We're all probably familiar with the siren. I'm sure that all of us, when we were kids, heard how the mermaid story isn't just about, you know, like the Disney version, and is actually about these women that kill people. It seems that the original, at least written versions of the siren were the bird figure, like the body of a bird and the head of a woman, which isn't as popular as the mermaid variant. But that bird figure did work its way into a lot of cultures. Like a lot of early Germanic beliefs involved the siren, the spelling with the R-I-N, then the R-E-N. And that siren pops up in a lot of early European mythology, And then the mermaid rendition, of course, shows up in a ton of Greek myths. What's the most interesting thing about the siren to me is the idea that it's not different creatures that just do similar things and is instead the same race or group of creatures that just mold themselves to the environment. So for example, if this siren is looking to, let's say, lead away soldiers who are off to war, maybe it will appear as a bird creature in the mountains. Or instead, if it's looking to lure away sailors, it will appear as a mermaid in the water. So you can follow that train of thought and say maybe some modern legends of these ghostly hitchhikers appearing on the side of the road who will lure men off into these abandoned trails only to never be seen again might be the same beast. So sure, while they lose some points because they're more
unicorn horse, yeah, that kind of stuff.
I do think it's interesting to tie in the siren mythos to a lot of modern cryptid or paranormal sightings. So I'll call it right in the middle of the road at C tier. There's debate on which version of the spelling is more correct, but I already misspelled Megalodon earlier in this series and have yet to change that, so we're just going to leave it. And speaking of things that are mega, up next we have the Megaconda. The Amazon rainforest
Megaconda,
is the largest serpent
big
in
snake.
the world, but one may exist at lengths beyond the rest. While the
that's a big snake.
Of snakes can get
Anacondas already get like really big too. So like, it's possible that there's just a big snake out there.
The Matataro, or bull eater, has been sighted by the natives and explorers of the region for the past century. British explorers have claimed to kill snakes as long as 62 feet, and reports from the 1940s detail a creature of up to 131 feet in length. Local legend, as well as impossible 6-foot wide paths in the most remote regions of the Amazon, suggests that perhaps a legendary
snake can just get big.
May exist.
You mean Titanoboa?
The Megaconda makes a lot of sense, right?
Big old
there's
snake.
These giant swaths of the Amazon that are completely
also, hello, Dr. Cool. How you doing? Welcome.
And it's also a known fact that some of the largest species of boas spend a lot of their life underwater, and they hunt things from within the water. So when you combine those two things, that there's uncharted territory, and the biggest ones that we know of live underwater, then it stands to reason that if there are some giant ones, maybe we just haven't seen them yet. That in combination with the locals saying that they easily get over 100 feet in length, as well as trampled paths through the jungle that are 6 feet wide, leading from one source of water to the other, that would take a lot of effort if someone was just doing it for a prank. Maybe there is some truth to this.
Damn big snake.
And it also
existence of Titanoboa is actually real. I fully 10,000% believe that there's just a big fucking snake out there in the jungle. Sure, yeah, why not? Because we've already know how big like regular anacondas and stuff can get. Like, sure, why not? Big snake. I believe big snake. I believe in big snake. I am a big snake believer. I'm a big snake truther. You can put a stupid t-shirt on me that says big snake truther.
Typically, dwarves are described as
is that a big snake in your Amazon, or are you just happy to see me?
Common aspects across
please laugh.
Short humanoids who live within rocks and mountains, or more broadly, in cohabitation with nature. Some believe these legends to originate.
God, I wish. Oh God, I want to be a gnome. I want to be a gnome so fucking bad. I want to like paint paintings with little berries, and I want to dance a festive jig under the full moon. I want to live in a like little mushroom hovel, and I want to like go fishing and like wear a thimble on my head. God, being a gnome would just be like the fucking life. Do you guys understand my desire to be a gnome? Do you guys get me? Please tell me you guys get me, you know? Cause like, God, I want to be a gnome or like a little dwarf or a little guy. Maybe just a little guy. I want to live in a mushroom. I want to ride a frog. You know, I want to be small enough that I could ride a frog and like put a little saddle on a frog and just go hopping around. That sounds great. That sounds like amazing. You know?
So not really a cryptid, but something to keep in mind as we talk about more examples.
God, I want to be a gnome. Gnome posting.
After that, we have
I want to be
the gigantic
jolly.
black. This extinct species of ape was similar to modern orangutans, save for one aspect: its size. This mega primate,
Big monkey.
believed by science to have been extinct for at least 500,000 years, is estimated
Exotic
to
aliens
have
is a
grown
cool concept.
anywhere
I think
from
aliens are
12
real.
feet tall and weighed over
I
600
think
pounds.
aliens are real,
Giant ape
but I
sighting
think
occur
it
around
is
the world to this
it is
day.
extremely
However, more interesting
unlikely
concerns to be
that
made
they
regarding
that they
this
have come to
species
Earth.
is the
I think that the
credibility
statistical
given to
likelihood of
the
a
majority of fossils are found in
a
South
giant
China,
like
placing
like
the
a
creature's habitat in the midst of the Yeti
what's its
legend.
nuts
Furthermore,
like an alien coming to
legends of
our
Bigfoot are
planet
given legitimacy
is
by
just
gigantic
it's
existence,
astronomical. It
because the argument is
it
no
wouldn't happen.
longer a creature such as Sasquatch exists, but rather it may simply have lived longer than we currently believe. Now, judging it solely as a cryptid, because, like, sure, there's all that stuff relating to Sasquatch, which is cool and all, but judging it just as a cryptid, just as a big orangutan that sometimes gets found, that's an F tier. Because all that it is a big ape that did at one point exist, and people say maybe it did exist. And once again, similar to the thylacine, sure, maybe it does. I don't care. Big monkey, not interested.
Big
But what's
monkey.
fascinating about it is since tall ape things did exist at one point, well then maybe stuff like, you know, Bigfoot or the Yeti or whatnot is given more credence because of that. I mean, we see with things like the coelacanth that something can believe to have been extinct for millions of years and then just one day show up. While as a cryptid, I don't think it's that cool, I think it is cool what it does for other cryptids. But with that out of the way, let's move on to the man monkey. On January the 21st,
Man monkey.
1879, in what is now the Shropshire Union Canal of Great Britain, a mysterious figure was seen. According to an eyewitness, a ghostly black figure appeared from a field before stealing a horse and riding off into the night. When the witness attempted to hit the figure with a whip, the whip passed through the figure entirely. As this case was investigated, locals confirmed this event to be no rare occurrence. In fact, this creature, known as the man monkey, was infamous for attacking travelers near the Staffordshire.
Aliens real, but exotic
area
aliens very,
who
very
found
almost
themselves
zero
alone
chance.
at night.
When
While
you
this
say
may
exotic
sound spectral,
aliens,
in some renditions
what
of the
do you
tale,
mean by
such as
that?
that of Old Ned's Devil,
Would
one of
love
these
to know
creatures
what
was
an
beaten to
exotic
death by
alien
a man
is.
the creature attacked,
Is it related to
and then
exotic
mounted
butters?
in a local pub. The reoccurring sightings lead many to believe that
Planet of the
at
Apes!
time,
Yeah.
ape-like wild man species,
Ape-like
the
wild
rodents in
man.
the UK. So the man monkey's cool and all. It is
Gigantopithecus. Yeah, I think he was just talking about
man-thing that randomly attacks
Gigantopithecus a
people
second
when they're
ago.
out alone at night.
I was kind of tuning him out because I was doing this.
Cryptid, scary stories of things that go bump in the night. My biggest problem with it is that it's very poorly defined. Like, sure, the locals had their legends of it, but their legends weren't exactly coherent. Like, in some stories, it's a ghost that your hand passes through, and in others, some old guy beat it to death and put it in his local pub. So while it's got potential, I don't think it's as cool.
Some guy beat it to death and put it in his local pub. Yeah, real.
Than things like the devil.
And I was that boy.
So while that holds it back a bit for me, the idea of a creature that attacks those who are alone on the road at night and can steal your horse and all that is still pretty fun. So I'm calling it a C tier. All right, well, this next one's just, good luck. The Skeljask Grimsley? Sure. The shores of Iceland hold the legend
What is this
of a
guy?
terrifying beast. Stories of this creature date back to the 18th century, with fishermen along the frigid Icelandic waters describing encounters with a bear the size of a hippo covered with blue armored scales. The name itself translating to shell monster. Its blood is said to be toxic and its mouth fluorescent. They are said to
That's
live
bonkers.
in the ocean, using their long claws to anchor into the seafloor and wait for prey, occasionally crawling to dark shores or bright homes after a storm. This horrid legend
That's
kept
pretty
many a
bonkers.
sailor at port, and some believe a ghastly presence may exist on the ocean floor around Iceland. This creature is absolutely terrifying. Imagine being a sailor
I love
in,
it.
like the 1700s.
Man monkey, the theory of evolution. Me.
By candles and lanterns, and then out of the darkness, a hippo-sized armored bear climbs up on your boat and just starts slaughtering people. And a lot of the details
pretty
of the
sick.
creature are very fantastical. Like, there's stories of men shooting them after they come into their barn, but the blood gets all over the farmer and then he dies of a horrific illness that night. There's stories of sailors seeing what appears to be a glowing
This
light
sounds like
over
some
the
kind of like radioactive
and when they go
Pacific
to
Rim
investigate,
thing.
it's just
This
this
monster
thing
he's describing right now.
open just beneath the surface.
I gotta
It's
get going. No
horrifying,
problem,
and
Dr.
it's
Ghoul.
very
Thanks for coming by and
scary
hanging out with
in a
us. It was
way
good
that
seeing
I
you.
wish a lot more cryptid stories were. Some of the best cryptid stories to me are the ones that make you afraid to go in the woods at night or make you remember to lock your door. And this one definitely hits those beats for me. It loses some points because there's not like a lot of core narratives or a lot of, you know, direct description of where it comes from or what its purpose is. It's kind of just a creepy animal, but sometimes being a creepy animal is good enough. So I'm calling it B tier. Another one that I want.
Sometimes you gotta put the fear of the food chain in you, you know?
Category is the macaque mammal, and I wanted to mention it because it's one of the most famous false cryptids reported. Basically, in the mid-90s, someone was at a store in Ecuador and they found a taxidermized animal that was believed to be an unidentified species. So for a while, this thing made the rounds online and in cryptozoology communities of a possibly undiscovered creature.
Do you know the SCPs? Yes, I do. I like the SCP Foundation. I think it's very interesting.
And just found to be
I like the SCPs a lot, actually. My VTuber character that I'm not currently wearing my VTuber right now, but my VTuber character's lore is that she's an escaped SCP.
in different cryptozoology fields or different historic sightings. And this is just a reminder, along with others like the...
Oh, is that my boy? It is your boy. Hey, Kryptonite, what's up?
Believed to be a cryptid, but have since been debunked. After that, we have the Makale Mimbe. In the Congo River Basin, legend exists of a creature near identical to modern depictions of the Brachiosaurus, albeit a bit smaller.
Oh my god!
To elephant size.
Little dinosaur!
The being is described as a sort of herbivore.
Oh my god, little dinosaur might exist in the jungle! I want to befriend him. I want to offer him a leafy green salad, and then he becomes my friend and he starts loving me, and I put a saddle on him and I ride him around. That's amazing.
The theory of evolution. Needless to say, nothing conclusive was found, but legends of a dinosaur within Africa's interior persist to this day. There's several cryptids.
I want a dinosaur so bad. Imagining Carver cryptid hunting now. I gave you that tism.
Because I believe it was like German colonies.
I'm really close to finishing you guys' player character art. I just need to do colors after I get all of you guys inked, and that's very exciting for me. I'm also very glad that I put Carver's hand in his pocket so I don't have to draw it. But yeah, we got Helen done, we've got you done, you on the way to being done. We've got Michelle here, we got her ready to go. So yeah, I just gotta finish up you guys, you're the players, and those are all ready to go. And then I just need to do all of the NPCs, which is, yeah, it's a lot, but also, yeehaw, I can see the finish line kind of thing, you know?
It kind of finds itself at the nexus point of a lot of different cultures trying to get their own thing out of the legend all at once. So while the creature would typically be like a D tier for me, because it's just like Nessie with legs running around in the river attacking people.
Carver trying to hunt the Flatwoods monster, but it's a BHM. Oh, my heart. That's good. I like that a lot.
I'm calling it C tier. Next up, we have the Yeren. In the mountains of China, a group of hairy men have been reported descending from the hilltops to steal food and women since 300 BC.
Food and women!
Sound like a bird.
Hey! Food and women!
Have no females to their race and therefore must kidnap human women to reproduce with, hence the reputation of murderous barbarians.
What is this horny-ass monkey cryptid? Hey, anyone here is anyone here a monster fucker? Because, monster boyfriend, real easy. Holy shit. But here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing. if these monkey men existed and they were kidnapping human women to reproduce with them, they would eventually dilute their gene pool to the point of just no longer being monkey men. They would no longer be Bigfoots. They'd just be guys who live in the woods. Ah, yes, the two genders, food and women. Honestly, so real. Hi, Vodka. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Biologically, many believe early legends
Oh,
of the Yaren
God.
to be remnants of a Homo sapien relative.
That's
now
so
lost.
fucking funny.
Culturally, the Yaren has found roots.
That's
in
really
Chinese
good.
belief,
I love
with
it.
legends of Yaren kidnappings adopting a comedic tone, and some women even claiming to have had a child with one of these creatures.
What?
In the midst of deforestation
Oh my
in
God.
China around the 1970s,
It's 6 a.m.
the
Hi.
Yaren
Good
became a
morning.
symbol of the natural
Good morning,
world,
Vodka.
and
You
part
wake
of
up
the
all early
campaign
again?
to save the forest. By appearance, Yaren are pretty similar to just a species of Bigfoot, but it's the stories around them that make them.
I need to pack up. I'm moving back to my dorm today. Nice. Dorm time. Are you gonna have a cool, fun dorm? I couldn't go back to bed. Aw,
A lot of the
noes.
modern ones tend to be lighthearted. For example, there's one popular legend where the genders of the creatures and the humans are flipped, so it's a group of women hairy monster people up in the mountains who have to come steal men to father their children. And the tone of the stories is
I'll be
often
reunited with my
comedic,
item children. Hell
hairy
yeah,
women being
bestie.
described as being
Hell
beautiful,
yeah.
and the men willingly leaving their wives to be kidnapped by the creatures. And like I said, in some cultures,
I have all
this
my
story
my
can
item label
become
stuff in a
a
little
symbol of
drawer
nature, pretty similar to
behind
how
me,
in the
so
northwest parts of the United
all my stuff
States,
is coming in.
Bigfoot
Hey, Vodka,
stands
did you order
as
anything in the
of
Series
trees,
Y drop
or
that happened
something
recently?
that
Did you
speaks
get
for the
anything?
trees, and Lorax, I just quoted the Lorax.
Because if you
Effectively,
are
Yaren has become a
interested,
symbol of natural
I could
preservation
show
as
you
well.
some of the
That
stuff
being said,
that
it's still kind of a
I
Yeti
got
slash
in my
Bigfoot
order,
ripoff,
just
but
to
it's a
kind of
fun
show you
ripoff,
what there
so
is if you haven't
go
already
see
gone
too.
out
And
looking
then
for it.
lastly, for
But if you're
tier
like
three,
trying to
we
avoid
have
spoilers and
devil
stuff,
monkeys.
forget
The woods of
I
the
said
United
anything. I just
States
figured I'd
host a
offer since I know we both
particularly
like
odd
this.
sighting. According to reports, 4-foot-tall baboons with incredible speed and agility stalk the American woods with extreme aggression. Early accounts place the creature in the southeast United States, across areas like Tennessee and Virginia, but sightings continue into the American
More
West
monkey.
and even Canada. Attacks are common, and whereas many cryptids seem
My
to
boyfriend
avoid
did. He ordered
humanity,
2.
the
I
devil
saw all
monkey
the
appears to
12
be
leaks. They look
exclusively
horrible.
violent.
Positive, yeah. I do.
Reports of unidentified
I really
feral
like
creatures and things like
some of
hairy
them, and some of the other ones
posted online
I'm
in
not
1996
too super interested
support the
in.
notion of some unknown
But there's
beast
one
in the North
in
American
there
world.
that is
Now, if you're
just
from
my
somewhere in
jam
the
a billion
Southeast, you
gajillion
have probably
percent.
heard a story or know someone that's heard a story about a wild monkey or wild baboon out in the hills. It's a joke a lot of old timers would tell. People would go out deer hunting and they'd warn them to watch out for that crazed monkey out there. But of course, with any legend, it lends to the notion if all these different people are talking about the same creature, then maybe there's something.
Oh, the billion eyes
Things
wee wee,
like
my
the Derry
love.
Road
Yeah, the one that
Tour,
looks like a freaky
the
sunny day
idea
wee wee.
that in
It's really
Louisiana,
cute. I like that
there
one
was
too.
just
That one's really
this
good.
thing
I
that
also
lived
really
on the side
like
of the road.
the
What else might have died off in the woods?
I really like
Rare
the
species
three-eyed
that
hot
still be
pink
out there
wee wee.
attacking people
And I
in
really,
the
really
summer
like
area.
Carbonation
Devil monkey
Advocate, the one
kind
that
of
looks
works
kind of
its way
like
into
a
jackalope
it's like a
territory
normal
with
wee wee,
stories
but it's like
that have
light blue and
details
it's
of
got
birds
bubbles on it. It
being
looks really cute.
fantastical
Actually, here, I'm just
or
gonna pause
over the top.
Wendigoon really quick. 'Cause I want to show some of the wee wees because I really like them. Wee wees, wee wees, wee wees. I want to see the wee wees. Some people are already getting their Series Y orders, and I'm so excited to get mine. I just want to see what I get, and I can start trading for the ones I really, really want. Wee wees. Where's the wee wee image? With all of the wee wees just like by themselves that I can show you. The name of the gray one with the tongue sticking out. It's so wacky looking, yeah. It's so bonkers. It's so good. Show me the wee-wees. We're just talking about it on label now, it's okay. Here we go. Wee-wees! Look at them! They're so goofy! Carbonation Advocate. This is my favorite one so far. I really like it. I really, really like it. This is like probably my second favorite right here. I really want this one, and this one. These are all really, really cute, especially because I have a Series 1 wee-wee that I really like. That's a Sunny Day. That's like my favorite wee-wee that I own. So having like a freaky version of my Sunny Day would be really fun. The egg wee one is pretty cute. I like the egg one. And honestly, if I'm being so real, this like Yoshi's Island egg one is kind of growing on me. It's kind of growing on me. I just think this is so funny goofy that it's just an egg with feet. I think that's really fun. The tongue is pretty bad. I don't like that one a lot. I don't like that one. I don't like this. It's bad. The beetle that everyone is in love with, I'm not about it, if I'm being so real. I think it's cute. It's just not my thing. Not my thing at all. This one's kind of cute. The pollination bulb or the tulip is okay. It's just okay. It's cute. It's cute. It's okay. I like it. It's fine. But like, my thing about the pollination bulb is that, like, it's too cutesy-wootsy, and it's not really my aesthetic. So, like, if I got it, I could probably trade it for something really, really good. This one's pretty cute, but it's, again, not, like, 1,000,000,000% my thing. Clockwee is pretty good, but it's not 1,000,000,000% my thing. I don't know. They all collectively make me say, what the hell? Honestly, so real. I really want Carbonation, Triclops, Be Not Afraid, and Egg Yolk. They're all really cute. Like, those are probably my top 4. And then if I can manage to score Eggy Pop, I would be happy to score Eggy Pop. And if I can manage to score Tulip, I would be happy to score Tulip. Mostly just to have Tulip in my back pocket so I could trade for something that I really, really want. Because Tulip is really, really popular. Yeah, good Eggwee and green Eggwee, because there's 2 eggs this series, because you got Eggy Pop and you got Albumin Breach. These are, the official names are the black names. Because you got Albumin Breach and Eggy Pop, so we have 2 eggs, so if you say Eggwee, okay, which egg are you talking about? You know? Like, do you mean Yoshi's Island egg, or do you mean, egg yolk? I don't know, I've just been calling this one egg yolk. Whatever. Of course, Tulip's popular. It's the cute aesthetic one. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, cute, wholesome aesthetic girlies in the item label fandom, and I understand. Yeah. I like them all. I really like Triclops. Triclops is really fun. I think Triclops and Be Not Afraid should smooch. I'll home the ugly ones. They're beautiful to me. Honestly, mood. Like, I don't know. If I get a tongue-wee, I will send it to you, Vodka, because I don't know if I'm about tongue-wee. Tongue-wee, drooling typhlozoan. Typhlozoan. What the fuck does that mean? But no, for real, Carbonation Advocate, 1,000,000,000%. 1,000,000,000%. Carbonation Advocate was like made in a lab for me. Extra reception module, Bobblewee. Yeah, Antenna-wee. I've been calling this one Antenna because it's got an extra long bobble like an antenna. An extra reception module, that's an antenna. So, yeah. I like these a lot. These are really fun. And I'm excited to get my order so I can start trading for the ones I want. Have you seen the Series 3 Wee-Wees too? I think we're still waiting on the Secret Rare Series 4 Wee-Wees. This is the Secret Rare of Series 4 to be discovered. But that's really cute. They're really cute, yeah. Adorable. I love Wee-Wees. Wee-Wees are great. I love Wee-Wees. Item label's fun. I like being in the item label fandom. Yeah, is there anything else I want to like look at for Tim LaBelle? No. Anyway, yeah, back to the devil monkey and
joke. And while yeah, a monkey or basically a baboon attacking people isn't that insane outside of the region it's taking place in, it's still fun how it can make its way into a lot of local legends. So I'll call it C tier. And with that, we are done with tier 3 of the iceberg and begin our voyage into this behemoth I have made for myself. I realize looking at this, I'm going to have to change a lot to make all of this fit on these two whiteboards, but that's problems for future Wendigoon. Current Wendigoon's just not going to worry about it. So I'll go ahead and wrap this up so I can get to editing and get it out to you all as quickly as possible. But I just want to
I've been blurbering over Carver and his owl so bad. I'm glad you're excited for the campaign. The campaign's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
But then I just thought, you know, why make anything easy for myself? And why not make it some super series that we can take our time on? And there's no reason to rush it through December when I think it can be more if I just let it take whatever time it naturally has. I don't know if 350 terms is natural, but it's too late now. But for real, I want to say thank you so much to everyone for the support you've shown the series. I know that it's shorter than a lot of my normal uploads, and I know it's more broken up, and I think a lot of you...
I'm very much in love with the Tough Luck Keepy. Dude, Tough Luck was also made in a lab for me. Also, I think we're done with the cryptid videos. I think that's the only cryptid video he currently has out. That's the last one he has out, so that's kind of a shame, but oh well. Dude, yeah, no, Tough Luck was made in a lab for me. Tough Luck, when I saw Tough Luck teased, I was immediately like, oh, yep, I'm getting a new peepee. Funnily enough, I only own one peepee currently. I own a inverted peepee, I own an eep, and that's the only peepee that I own. And I don't usually buy the peepees just cause like, I don't know, none of them really hook me in a way where I'm like, yes, I will spend $30 on this little guy because he has stolen my heart so completely. But Tough Luck, man, Tough Luck did that for me. Tough Luck stole my goddamn heart. I love that little guy. I'm hoping to collect the Tough Luck peepee and the Tough Luck wee wee, and then to get the inverted wee wee to match my inverted peepee. I think that'd be pretty fun. And we're done listening to cryptids, so now I'm wondering what we should listen to instead. Hey yo, who let Meowth in? It's Dana Meowth! I didn't feel like being a VTuber today, I'm sorry. My iPhone that I use for face tracking is dead, and I didn't feel like charging it, because that would mean I'd have to dig out my charger and plug it in and get it all set up with my setup, and I was like, no, it's fine, I'll do that later. So I decided to just use my Dana Meowth PNG tuber. Just because, I don't know, PNG tuber's cute, I like it. Okay, well, we listened to all of the cryptids, all the cryptid episodes that are currently available. What do you guys want to listen to now? As just like background noise. I'm just gonna leave that up there in the corner. It's very cute, thank you! I'm hoping to eventually get my, I'm hoping to eventually update this PNG tuber so that, like, there's a blinking animation and the mouth moves in, like, a, kind of like Ace Attorney style where it's, like, up and down, and then it goes to an O and up and down and an O. We're not listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. What the fuck? Yeah, so I think that'd be really cute to do for Dana Meowth and for my player characters at some point. But I'm not doing that for the first episode of the first session. I'm not worried about that. I'm not doing it. Oh man, it feels really weird. Listen, it feels really weird doing this and not having something in my ear, actually. We need to listen to something. What do you guys want to listen to? We got Nanalan lore. We could hear about Nanalan, which is a TV show. Grim Tales from Down Below. Lore. That's fun. Who created the skull trumpet? The funniest horror game ever made. Whoa. Neopets? The H-Bomber Guy plagiarism essay? I'm not listening to that. That is 4 hours. A Shark Tale video? You guys want to listen to a Shark Tale? Lego Star Wars docuseries. Tomy Did Nothing Wrong, an analysis of Junji Ito's Tomy. Another Neopets video. Angel Hair by the Nightmind Angel Hair video. Probably a breakdown of some analog horror thing, which is interesting enough. You know what? I'm for Nanoland TBH. Okay, I'm splitting the difference between horror game and Nanoland, and we're gonna listen to the Shark Tale review / analysis. I love this guy.
The video to find out how you can make a swimmingly stunning website.
I love this guy. I love this guy's videos.
To Mike's Mike, my name is suspiciously still Mike, and today we're doing something.
I love this guy.
Shaking. Yep. Let me set the scene, okay? I was thinking about what video I wanted to make, and I thought, hey, I want to talk about Shark Tale, that crazy ocean-themed mafia movie containing several Angelina Jolie face card swipings and a Missy Elliott Christina collab. And then I remembered, oh, I've already done a Shark Tale video. So then I went to go and find my Shark.
Who is this? His name's Mike. His name's Mike's Mike, and he's great. My average background noise is Minecraft long builds. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Minecraft fan, though. I love this guy. Okay, I need to tell you guys about the bullshit that I do with Shark Tale. Okay, so the reason why I've been so excited to watch this movie is because Shark Tale has a hole in my heart. It has a place in my heart. And my story regarding Shark Tale is Shark Tale is my go-to movie that I will use to prank my friends. Kryptonite, I don't know if you've been victim of this prank, but now that you know this prank, you can never spoil it for me. You can never spoil it for me if I start pulling this prank on someone who has not been a victim of this prank. Okay, so you have been a victim of this prank. I'm so glad you've been a victim of this prank. Okay, my favorite thing to do, and my go-to, I do this with other movies, but I really do this with Shark Tale because Shark Tale is such a good one to hook people with. Shark Tale has a surprisingly all-star cast. It has, like, Robert De Niro in it, and it has, like, a bunch of, like, iconic mafia movie people in the movie, right? So what my favorite thing to do is I will, if like my friends are talking about watching a movie, but we don't know what to watch, I'll say, hey, I have a movie that's really, really interesting. It's got Robert, I'll like name drop some of the, actors. I can't remember them off the top of my head right now, but I'll name drop. I'll be like, it's a mafia movie. It's got Robert De Niro in it. And it is a kind of coming of age movie about this mafia prince. And he has a falling out with his father and he ends up on the streets. And when he ends up on the streets, he ends up in this kind of unlikely partnership with this street urchin who's trying to make it big. And I will describe the plot of Shark Tale, right? I will describe the plot of Shark Tale, but I will describe it as if it is some, like, yeah, I will deliberately mislead people as if it's some, like, Oscar-worthy hidden gem of a mafia movie. And I will get people really invested in, like, oh my god, really? I've never seen, that sounds really interesting. I want to watch that. I'm like, yeah, it's got Will Smith in it. Will Smith plays the street urchin who, like, helps the mafia prince, like, get back on his feet again. And it's about this, like, unlikely friendship while the mob is, like, still bearing down on him. Because even though the mafia prince is, like, estranged, he's still, like, a high-ranking member of the mafia. So, you know, you're balancing these intense emotions of this mafia prince being kicked out of his home and all that he knows for not, like, being okay and implicit in his family's violence. And then you've got this street urchin who's willing to make it big by any means necessary kind of thing, and the friendship that evolves between them and how it all comes together. And, you know, I'll bring up about how, like, you know, one of the guys fucking dies, and that's a huge part of the movie, how someone dies, but it's like, I don't want to tell you because it's spoilers, but, like, there's a really intense death scene in the movie that's kind of like the pivotal moment where it all comes crashing down, and, like, it's really, like, a beautiful piece of cinema drama that gets me every time. And I will hype up Shark Tale. I will never tell a single lie about Shark Tale. I will just reframe all of Shark Tale to make it sound like the coolest, most interesting, thought-provoking mafia movie you've ever seen. And then when all of my friends are like, oh my god, how the fuck have I never seen this movie? This sounds amazing. I will sit everyone down and I will put on Shark Tale and I will just sit there in utter silence while everyone realizes what I've fucking done. But now we're watching Shark Tale and we can't turn off Shark Tale. I have done this several times with many of my friends, and it's gotten to the point where, like, if I start describing a movie that they've never seen, we instantly all do not vote for watching my movie that I'm describing. And, you know, honestly, that's fair, because there have been times where I've tried to, like, get people to watch, what's another one? Oh, I tried to so there's like a stupid Nickelodeon movie, right? That has Noah Monk in it, who played Gibby. And it has Noah Monk in this kids mafia movie, but it's also got like almost the entire cast of The Sopranos, reprising similar roles. So I tried to convince one of my friends to watch it with me, and I was like, hey, did you see that they made a Sopranos, like, reunion movie? Like, they made a short movie where it's like all the characters from The Sopranos, they come back, and it's like the Sopranos are mentoring this new mafia guy, in kind of the ways of the business. And my friend was like, oh wow, that's really interesting. Wait a second! And I didn't get them. Because they knew I was doing the thing. Anyway, yeah, so I'm very happy. I'm very excited to watch this video because, like, I like this guy's reviews. He's very, very funny. He just kind of does, like, these fun plot synopses, and he's just really fun. I like him a lot. He's delightfully gay. Yeah, so when I saw he had a Shark Tale video, I've just had this just sitting in my watch laters for, like, ever, just like, ooh. So, yeah.
That I could watch it and giggle. Yes, I watch my own videos, and yes, it's because they're timeless. Imagine my reaction when I discovered that I can't find my Shark Tale video because it doesn't exist. What in the Mandela effect is going on here? So then I popped onto my TED Talk podium known as Instagram Story Create Mode, and I asked the people if I'd made a Shark Tale video, and the responses were literally 50% yes, 50% no. So it seems like we're all experiencing some form of collective psychosis, which is...
That's really funny.
Famously, we are all in this together. Now, after consulting the consultants, that's you guys, I've deduced that I've spoken about the Angelina Jolie Slayfish, and I've covered a bunch of DreamWorks movies and mentioned Shark Tale in passing, but I haven't made a dedicated video, so here we are, the prophesized Shark Tale video. Now, I recently made a video about the infamous animated rodent agenda, where there were multiple animated rodent movies released in a short period of time, and these were, of course, a marketing ploy by a big rodent. Like, yeah, we know that for a fact. In response to that, a lot of people have asked me to cover the penguin agenda, referring to the suspiciously close release of Happy Feet, Surf's Up, and Madagascar. And maybe I will do that at some point, but in focusing on Shark Tale, I was reminded of the animated fish agenda of 0304. Because... Wait,
actually, about the animated fish agenda, I have something so real. I have such a real fun fact to share about the animated fish agenda. So apparently, while Finding Nemo was in production, like while it was being concepted and made, and Disney was deciding, yes, we are going to make a fish movie, right? Disney Channel, in like preparation for the release of Finding Nemo in like a year, right? Started airing these commercial bumpers that were fish facts about undersea tropical fish, just as like fun bumpers, apropos of nothing. You know, maybe they'd coincide them with like Lilo and Stitch, which makes sense because Lilo and Stitch is from Hawaii, right? And they did that specifically to start building up a subtle interest in ocean stuff, right? In the viewers of Disney Channel, so that they would be interested and excited for Finding Nemo when Finding Nemo came out. Isn't that fucking insane? and Insidious? Isn't that bonkers? Anyway, yeah, I heard about that, and I was very, very, like, blown away by just how deep the depths of this, like, marketing shit goes. Very fascinating. Anyway, yeah, animated fish agenda, Shark Tale.
Made animated fish movies one after the other. Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks were just constantly at each other's throats in the 2000s. Like, wow. Ants vs. A Bug's Life. Madagascar vs. The Wild, but I mean, who watched The Wild? Raise your hand if you watched The Wild.
What the fuck is The Wild?
In this entire arena, there's not one single hand. Yeah, it's true. I live in an arena. I record these videos in an arena. What you see is 1% of the arena that I live in. And Finding Nemo vs. Shark Tale. I just know their beef is crazy. And it is crazy. And I know that for a fact because I googled it. The animation girls are non-stop fighting. It's truly like an episode of Bad Girls Club. To be honest,
I fucking love this guy. Hello for Indonesia. Hello. No worries, no worries. Don't worry about being late. We're just chilling and listening to YouTube videos, man. You have not missed a single goddamn thing. We are just chilling.
You know what Nemo doesn't have? A mum. In the sense that, no, I just mean, Finding Nemo might have a lot of things, but it doesn't have the cast that Shark Tale has. Will Smith, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese plays the pufferfish.
And Christina Aguilera, Missy Elliott, the Pussycat Dolls, D12, JoJo, and Hans Zimmer on the soundtrack. That's a category 6 gagging. Let's get into it so I can talk about the world building. We start with the DreamWorks kid throwing his fishing rod into the ocean with a stressed worm attached.
Oh, and this worm comes back later, I think.
Absolutely love that shit. When the opening credits or logos are incorporated into the movie, tens across the board. Sharks start circling said stressed worm. And you know what? Maybe we're all a stressed worm on the fishhook of life.
So real. So real for that, bestie.
The Jaws theme song is playing. How did they get the rights to that? A shark comes up to eat the worm, opens his mouth and says, "Hi, I'm Lenny."
Hi, I'm Lenny.
It's Jack Black.
It's Jack Black.
Italian mafia son shark.
It's Jack Black as a gay mafia shark. It's amazing.
Worm, and his brother Frankie pops up.
Okay, buddy, you're free. Now escape. Go. Lenny, what are you doing? What?
The dynamic here.
What are you doing?
Mafia boss. Frankie's a hard-ass shark looking to follow in his father's footsteps, and Lenny's a sweetie. Like he's just a little sweetie shark.
Picking you some flowers.
He like a picket of flowers, right?
Hey, Mom said it's not okay to hit.
If you can't already tell, I'm absolutely loving this Italian representation. Frankie starts singing the Jaws theme song.
Don't.
And says, "That's our theme song." Oh, so you've seen Jaws. Oh, so Jaws is canon in the Shark Tale universe. Good to know. The sharks swim away and we pan down to the fish city, and I am absolutely loving this shit. Coral
Fucking ridiculous.
Fish King, Gup, Old Wavy, celebrating
Old
history.
Wavy.
There's no one in the city because they're all hiding from the sharks, but Katie Current pops up with a live broadcast to tell everyone that the sharks are gone.
I'm Katie Current, keeping it current. The sharks are gone.
Don't worry.
Oh, so you have live broadcasts. Oh, so you have TVs. Now, Miss Katie Current, she has the tea always. You can count on her for the latest because she is the greatest. Also, a little piece of outrageous information for my Australian girls. In the Australian DVD version of Shark Tale, Katie Current is voiced by Tracy Grimshaw.
Good morning, Southside Reef. I'm Katie Current, keeping it current.
Also, Miss Current's visuals with the hair, she's kind of giving... And who's going to clean your reef, Donald Trump? So everyone in the city comes out of hiding. There's people doing celebrity tours. Tuna Turner, Muscle Crow, Jessica Shrimpson, Cod Stewart, Seal. Very good, very excellent. Prawn Shop, we sell quality stolen goods. I mean, hey, at least they're being honest. The grand opening of a sushi shop. Kinda horrifying, babe, but also obsessed with the implications of that. You're selling pieces of people's oomps on rice. Soggy rice, mind you, I don't know what's worse.
Well, here's the other thing, like...
Hi, I'm Oscar.
The thing that the fish eat is other fish. So, like, a sushi restaurant would do numbers.
60-inch high-def flat-screen TV. A TV that works underwater. Yeah, and when will Samsung? Samsung found dead in a ditch. Oscar's running his mouth. He even says that he's got a CD player, a DVD player, and a PlayStation. Oh, so PlayStations are canon in the Shark Tale universe. Write that down. Write that down. But Oscar doesn't actually have all that stuff.
Come on, shorties. Why y'all messing with my fantasy?
He is a nobody that wants to be a somebody. He's manifesting, okay?
Shouldn't you kids be in school?
Shouldn't you be at work?
They kind of ended him, not gonna lie. So Oscar goes to work at the whale wash. Sykes whale wash, a whale of a wash, and the price, oh my gosh. And this is where we first hear Christina Aguilera and Missy Elliott singing Car Wash. But imagine how obsessed we are. Imagine how obsessed we are. This whale/car wash concept is just so perfect. They offer dorsal dressing, breath freshener. They've got eels zapping shit off the whales. This is called earning an honest living. Mind you, if I was a whale, this would piss me off.
Hey, headphone guy.
Get that shit off my teeth. Oh my god, time and place. And you did it.
Okay, but the car wash song fucking slapped for no reason. So real. So real, so true, bestie.
An iconic switch up. No, this is Renee.
It did have bass music. Like, the music for this was very cool.
She's a working girl, she does her 9 to 5, she clocks in and she gets it done. She's got a bit of blue going on in her hair and she is obsessed with Oscar. Yes, Ashley Simpson, she's in love. Hello, very. But he says that she's his best friend.
You're like my best friend.
Angie Nation in crisis talks. The owner of the whale wash.
Talk about friend-zoned.
Scorsese, aka Sykes. Martin Scorsese, I was not familiar with your game. I kind of need to meet him. Can we make that happen? Hello? Hello, Martin. Can we have a chat? Sometimes I'll come across stuff in pop culture and I'm like, how? Just how? The fact that there is an animated fish movie from 2004 that has Martin Scorsese in it and Pussycat Dolls on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It feels like those things should not intersect. And yet
No, they
do.
shouldn't.
Here's a sign
And
of
yet,
Sykes.
here we are.
Come in Saturday.
That's what makes Shark Tale
He's a hard ass.
such
okay?
a good movie to pull my prank with, because it's such a bonkers piece of like pop culture relic.
A side implication of this is that it confirms that humans exist in the Shark Tale universe. Don Lino, aka Robert De Niro Shark, is telling Sykes,
AKA Robert De Niro Shark.
Fish world.
You see, Sykes, it's a fish-eat-fish world. True words.
And that's why a sushi restaurant would do numbers. I do not want to hear any slander.
The duties of running the reef, capiche? But Sykes implies that Lenny can't run the reef because he's too much of a softy, so the big boss Don Lino kicks him out for coming for his son.
My Lenny is a killer, you hear me? A cold-blooded killer. Look at him.
He's gay.
Us sharks stick together, etc., etc. Capiche? Sounds like Sykes had some kind of alliance, like a little mafia alliance with the sharks.
The Mafia Alliance is sharks. Sykes is money laundering for the Mafia. That's the implication here.
Back to the car wash and gets his minions Ernie and Bernie to collect Oscar and bring him to his office.
Now snap your fin. Oscar. Oh, hey, don't sweat it, Sykes. A lot of white fish can't do it.
Oscar
A lot of white fish can't do it.
And his colleague was listening to We Went As Far As We Felt Like Going by the Pussycat Dolls.
Stop your moaning, Oscar. It could be a lot worse, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give you some outrageous facts about that song at the end of the video. So Sykes is counting his dollars to pay the sharks for protection. And
Unfortunately, does not slap like you think it sounds.
Lino money. It's a classic stitch up. Hey, I'm walking here.
I'm supposed to do that.
Walking here.
Bring my 5,000 clams to the racetrack tomorrow or else.
Not the cash handover at the racetrack. Also, the money being clams is so stressful because aren't clams alive in this universe? You're kind of trading mollusk beings. So Oscar's talking to Angie about his 5,000 clams predicament and how he borrowed the money to try and start something and be somebody and get to the top of the reef. And Angie says,
What's wrong with down here?
and then she goes queen mode and says,
I want to be a somebody.
You don't have to live at the top of the reef to be a somebody.
Angie, let's go, Angie Nation. Angie gives Oscar a pink pearl that her grandmother gave her so that he can sell it to get the clams to pay off Mr. Sykes. She's too good for him. She's doing
So real.
inspirational quotes and donations. Now back to the Italian sharks. Don Lino's putting pressure on Lenny to be a killer.
I don't know how else to say this to you, Lenny. You see something, you kill it, you eat it, period. That's what sharks do.
You see something, you kill it, you eat it, period. That's what sharks do. I think that this is where Taylor Momsen got her inspiration to say, I'm your sister. It's what I do.
I'm your sister. It's what I do.
But see, while Frankie is a killer,
Your brother Frankie here, he's a killer. Wipe your face.
Lenny is not. You gotta understand, when you look weak, it makes me look weak. I can't have that. Miss Aria, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife. So Don Lino's like, right, Lenny, that's it. I've had enough. Eat this very much alive and pleading shrimp right in front of me.
My sister had a baby, and I took it over because she passed away.
But instead of eating the shrimp, he lets it escape.
Get out of here. You're free now. Go on, go.
He's vegetarian, and his mafia dad just doesn't understand that. I'm a vegetarian, and I'm not fucking scared of him. I'm a vegetarian, and I'm not fucking scared of him. So Oscar's at the racetrack to hand over the money.
Carrying a big old envelope full of money. Give it to Mr. Sykes.
5,000 clams in that envelope. Don't piss me off. Also, envelopes. underwater.
Make it make sense. Maybe it's made of kelp.
Talking about how the next race is rigged, and he puts the money, Angie's money, on this flop seahorse paying 200 to 1. 200 to 1, 5,000 clams, he's going to be a millionaire. And as he's saying that he's going to be a millionaire,
Well, I guess that makes me Oscar the millionaire.
Angelina Jolie fish overhears.
The millionaire.
Gold digger
Like,
fish.
oh, he's got money. Let me do my little dancey dance.
Nice bass.
So Miss Lola, why did they have to make the fish so snatched? Her face card is
Why'd they have to make the fish so cunty?
She pays with face card. Face card. No cash, no credit. And can we get some commotion for the hair too? Like, wow. Lola figures that Oscar
So
must
real.
be loaded if he's doing these risky bets. So she's like, hey, rich man, hey. Hey. He is so gagged that she's talking to him. She would be in his Hinge Rose jail. So he can't believe this is happening. Hinge Rose jail, don't piss me off. Match LLC, when I get you. While Oscar's trying to sneak into the VAF section with Lola, yes, VAF, very important fish, Sykes turns up like, Mom's better have my money.
Oscar, and I was starting to think you skipped out on me.
Sykes!
And he finds out that Oscar bet it all on this flop fish and he's proper fuming.
You had the money to pay me back and you bet it anyway?
Hold up.
Give me that.
After this commotion, Lola's like, oh, so you're a poor nobody. Ew, get away from me.
Wait, Lola, come back. I'm not a nobody.
Yes, I'm wondering how the sauce is staying on the hot dog like that. And yes, I'm wondering how they have access to hot dogs in the first place. And yes, I'm wondering how they cooked them. The flop 201 seahorse loses. Sykes goes mafia mode and wants Ernie and Bernie to dispose of Oscar. Here's the equivalent of them putting him in the boot of a car.
Sorry, kid. It's nothing personal.
It's just business. Don Lino has instructed Frankie to take Lenny out to learn the ropes.
Bit a bit, bit about this, that, the other. Then how you doing? Boom. Forget about it. You're dead.
Forget
about it.
So
You're
Ernie
dead.
and Bernie are torturing Oscar when Frankie and Lenny turn up, and Frankie wants Lenny to eat Oscar. But he can't do it. He's not a killer. Miss Aria, you're not a killer. You are Ezra's wife. He unties Oscar so he can get away, and Frankie chases after him.
That's it. I've had it up to here.
Oh, get your boy! Get your boy!
But then an anchor lands on Frankie and kills him.
I'm so...
And then there's like a shark funeral after that
Because Ernie
too.
took the anchor
So
off Frankie
bonkers.
and threw it far away and swam off crying.
Oh, no!
When Ernie and Bernie come back, it looks like Oscar single-handedly defeated this huge shark, and thus begins the lie. He's running his mouth far and wide. He's telling
The shark funeral, it's so good. The shark funeral is really, really, really good too. Because they just like, they have him wrapped in like kelp or something. And then they just throw him into the deep and it's amazing.
Oscar? Sleazy Sykes is trying to get a piece of this fame and fortune and makes himself Oscar's manager.
Any further questions will be fielded by me. You're slaying him.
No, he's slaying sharks.
Me when I'm slaying sharks? So now Oscar is Oscar the Shark Slayer. We get this absolutely genius transition.
Any shark tries to bother this reef, it's his funeral.
Also, more Titanic evidence for the non-believers watching. At Frankie's funeral, there's a shark priest starting a prayer in Italian. Oh, so you guys have organized religion down there. Now,
You
the
guys have shark
was
Catholicism.
shaken by Frankie's death. Not only was a shark killed, but it was Don Lino's son. This shark Giuseppe is saying, may whoever did
Giuseppe.
this die 1,000 deaths.
Giuseppe
the
is such a
shark.
good name.
Yeah. Can we quickly have a look at this tea pouring sequence?
Oh, Lenny. Don't worry, boss. I said some things to him. We gotta
What?
I'm giggling. This is so silly. So Don Lino
Is he just like...
but little do they know that...
Do y'all know Legend of Zelda has a manga? Yes, it does. There's several different manga for Legend of Zelda, actually.
Meanwhile, Oscar the Shark Slayer is living large. He's on the cover of FQ with Lobster Jones and the Salmon vs. Calamari full story. October-November issue. Oh, so you can track months down there. And, oh, you can print magazines and you can read them. Oh, and you can scan barcodes. He's living in the penthouse. He's top of the reef, all because of a lie. Side note, why do they even have apartments? Or penthouses or elevators? If you wanted to go to the penthouse so bad, why not just swim up there? I'm just saying. And
Just
you can
saying.
ask her how proud of him she is, and she's so head over heels for him. Like, girl, know your worth. She thinks he's about to propose to her when he's just giving her back her grandmother's pearl. Gold digger Lola pulls up to the penthouse like, hey, Oscar. Hey, Oscar. Who was a nobody and is now a somebody. Hey, you think I'm pretty, yeah? You think I'm gorgeous and stunning, yeah? Check the face card. Give me a call if you ever get rich. I could be one of your fish. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my god.
Best friend. Oh, that's sweet. Look who's a somebody after all.
And then, uh-oh, drama. Pound the alarm, Nicki Minaj. There's sharks at the edge of the reef. Lucky they've got Oscar the Shark Slayer to protect them. He reluctantly goes out to suss the situation and runs into Lenny. Lenny wants to go home with Oscar since he doesn't have a home anymore. He definitely does have a home in the Titanic, but he overheard his dad dragging him, so he feels like a flop. Oscar says, oh, absolutely not. You need to go home to your home that you live at your home. But then Lenny finds out that Oscar is this self-proclaimed shark slayer and says, take me with you or I'll expose your shit and end you. I'll tell everyone how you didn't do shit. So Oscar's like, ugh, fine, come and live in the whale wash garage. Lenny also tells Oscar that he's vegetarian, so Oscar doesn't need to worry about getting eaten.
I'm not gonna eat anyone. In case you haven't noticed, I'm different from the other sharks.
A vegetarian shark? That is so fashion forward. The way they talk about Lenny's vegetarianism is very queer-coded.
It's very queer-coded. It's very much like Lenny is the gay son.
What's going on?
You're the first fish I ever told. I'm so tired of keeping it all a secret. What's wrong with me?
Oscar finds out that Lenny's dad is Don Lino.
Was he the Godfather or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Which means he killed Don Lino's son. Very bad enemy to have. He's coming for you. Angie discovers Lenny in the whale wash garage.
So real.
And she's
Felt that,
mad as
Lenny.
hell
So
that
real.
Oscar lied to her.
How could you lie to me, Oscar? Me!
Don't take it personally. Come on, I lied to everybody.
Oh, that's not. He sucks. Angie immediately.
He sucks so hard, and Angie does not deserve him.
Because she has an all-access queen card. You thought you could take credit for killing a shark and not expect them to come after you? Well, yes. He's so stupid. Oscar and Lenny come up with a plan. Oscar needs to slay a shark and Lenny needs to disappear. Perfect. Let's stage a Super Smash Bros-esque battle where you kill me and then I can swim away to anonymity. Yes, that's iconic and funny and amazing and referential. But does that mean they can watch movies down there? How? How do you have electricity down there at all? Lenny's feeling a bit
Real.
about the fact that the fake battle involves literally everyone wanting him dead, but he goes along with it anyway.
They are going crazy, man. They love us.
They love you. They hate me.
Don Lino's minions turn up just in time to see Oscar kill Lenny. Come on, stunt. Come on, WWE. After Oscar wins, opportunistic platinum face card holder Lola turns up and pashes him on Katie Current's live feed, and Angie is heartbroken. It's the ultimate face card versus queen card battle. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Queen's Edition. This level of romance shit
Yu-Gi-Oh!
everywhere
Queen's
Angie
Edition.
turns, including in this newspaper she's reading. What is that magazine made of? How can you read? Also looks like the headline story is about Oscar killing Lenny and is titled Shark Tale.
I still can't believe that's Jack Black. So real.
Emmy award-winning dying performance. Lenny is painting himself blue so that he can live a secret double life as Sebastian the Dolphin. Angie tells Oscar
That's such a gay name to give himself too, Sebastian.
How would she love you if you were nobody?
Nobody loved me when I was nobody.
I did!
Not the emotional climax. I'm obviously team Angie and the divorce don't get it twisted. Oscar would be nothing without Angie.
Now you're nothing but a fake, a sham, a con. You're a joke.
She ended him. How is she crying though? Don't piss me off. So now Oscar feels like shit. Is the fame and fortune worth it? Worth lying about literally everything? Worth pissing off 22-time Queen Card of the Year winner Angie? Lola's like, don't worry about that flop. She's a nobody. Who cares? And Oscar's like, no, that's oomph. You're a snake with a platinum face card and we're over.
You know what? I don't think this is going to work out.
Wait, are you dumping me?
Yup.
Let me explain something to you.
Whoa.
Angie deserved better. I'm so serious. Honestly, so fucking real. The fact that they still get together at the end of the movie just speaks volumes.
Oh. So you have balloons down there. You've got air for balloons down there?
You got balloons? They do have balloons down there, don't they?
A whale of a wash and the prize, oh my gosh. But she's not there. A call comes in for Oscar.
Do you guys see why I love this guy's channel? I don't know, just his humor, it just tickles me. I love him. He's delightful.
I don't want to see her sleeping with the fishes, the dead ones.
Oh shit, let's go. Oscar and Lenny tell Sykes that the whole thing's a sham, and Martin Scorsese's like, well shit, I'm done for. Because I've been running my mouth to my ex-mafia boss about how you killed his son. So Lenny, Oscar, and Sykes go to this sit-down.
So, this is the Shark Slayer. I feel like we're practically...
The Shark Slayer.
I feel like we're practically...
The Shark Slayer.
You know who I am? I'm the Don. The boss.
The boss. I'm the boss here. You killed my son. Prepare to die.
Nothing to me, like I don't know her. But then Lola turns up saying, I think he's bluffing. Girl, what are you doing? You're so petty that you put yourself in the worst danger possible just to start shit. I have to respect it.
There's
Real.
one thing I like better than money.
revenge.
I'm in love.
Oscar gets Lenny, aka Dolphin Sebastian, to eat Angie off the platter and basically store her in his mouth. But remember, Lenny is famously vegetarian. So while Oscar's running his mouth trying to intimidate all the sharks, Lenny throws up across the table. Mel realizes that Sebastian is Lenny, but what are you doing with this clown? He's mad as hell and tries to kill Oscar.
You took Frankie away and you turned Lenny into a dolphin. I'm gonna get you.
But gets stuck in a porthole, and the shrimp that he tried to get Lenny to eat come over and torture him.
Well, say hello to my little friends.
I'm so excited because I only have to ink one foot because I can be lazy and just like slurp it over after I'm done. I'm cool. I'm cool and smart.
Hey people, he's done it again.
Lenny is trans, I forgot a little bit. Like he's very, very, very queer coded. He's not, like he is not cisgender heterosexual. It's amazing.
You're hella wrong for what you did. Don Lino's like, well, why did you run away, Lenny? And Lenny's like, well, you wanted me to be like Frankie, and I'm never gonna be that.
So your son likes kelp. So his best friend's a fish. So he likes to dress like a dolphin. So what?
So Don Lino and Lenny make up. Oscar also apologizes to Angie and strikes up a peace between the sharks and the reef.
We cool, right?
We're cool.
So, what now? Oscar
Happy ending!
Everything that he lied so hard to achieve. Well, he's become business partners with Sykes and opened Sykes and Oscar's Whale Wash and gets Missy, Elliott, and Christina to perform at the opening.
Yo, Christina! Missy!
Gag. The last song we hear during the credits is We Went As Far As We Felt Like Going by the Pussycat Dolls.
We went as far as we felt like going.
I'm highlighting this because A, it's one of my favorite Pussycat Dolls songs. I love it when they get a little bit jazzy and show-tuney. B, it's actually a cover of a 1975 song by a group called LaBelle, who also made Lady Marmalade. And C, it's apparently the very first song that the Pussycat Dolls recorded together as a group. Is that not an insane pop culture cross-section? Also, the soundtrack in general is so wild. There are a bunch of other songs recorded just for the movie, such as Lies and Rumors by D12. And Good Foot by Justin Timberlake and Timberland. All fantastic. So now we can confidently say that a Mike's Mike Shark Tale video exists. And thank God for that, right? If you enjoyed this, you might enjoy my Gossip Girl Season 3 video, which I uploaded last week. It's a good one for sure. Thank you all for watching. Now let's hear from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Yes! Squarespace gives people a powerful and stylish online platform.
Yeah, so that's this guy. I love his stuff. I binged his entire, he had a huge video series of like 3 4-hour videos where he did a recap of, he did a recap of Glee where he did all the major plot points of Glee. That was really fun. And Pretty Little Liars. He had an entire, it's 6 hours of, 6 or 7 hours of Pretty Little Liars recap and plot analysis and plot summarization. And it is so goofy bonkers. I loved it so much. It's so fun. Yeah, he does, these, short plot summary, of kind of videos. And I really like them. I just really really like his humor. He tickles me. I don't know. I feel like I get him and he gets me. I understand everything he's trying to tell me when he says things. What do we want to watch next? I'm really, really close to being done with Carver here, and I think I'm actually going to get it all done in one stream, and I'm not going to leave this till next time, because I've been doing that where it's like I'll get really far and then I'll leave the rest of it and finish it up at the end, at the beginning of my next stream. But, I think I can actually, finish this inking in one go this time around, and I'm very happy about that. Fuck yeah, Carver! You are so insane about Carver. I'm glad you like your player character. I'm very glad you're invested in your character, because it's gonna make it very fun for when, you actually get to play him. It'll be really good. Okay, I've got a video about the fanfic about the guy who adopted Rainbow Dash. It's very weird. Analog horror analysis. Blogger that catfish serial killers. Another Neopets video. The best DS horror game you've never played. Sam Bankman-Fried analysis video, Five Nights at Freddy's lore video that is 9 hours long. We're not listening to that. Legends Arceus analysis video that is 4 hours long. A Let's Build kind of video making a animatronic from Five Nights at Freddy's. That's pretty cool. Probably something I want to actually like sit down and watch so I can watch the, stuff about it. Bolt is a critique of Disney analysis video. EVE Online, 5 hours long, not doing that. Magnus Archives 101, plot synopsis of Magnus Archives, 3 hours long, I don't want to listen to that. RuneScape, that's 4 hours long. Warrior Cats, that's an hour long, it's a little too long. A Pokemon Ranger retrospective video, that sounds like fun. Might be interesting. Alvin and the Chipmunks, analyzing the character designs of the Chipmunks through the years, that's interesting. You guys want to listen to the Pokemon Ranger video? It's like 25 minutes. Let's do the Pokemon Ranger video. This video contains spoilers for all the Pokemon Ranger games. Do we care about spoilers for the Pokemon Ranger games? I've played all of them but the third one. I just beat Shadows of Almia pretty recently, and I have not played the third game yet. But also, the biggest spoiler for Shadows of Almia, you can literally guess it in 5 seconds if you're genre savvy. Right? Like, it's not that big of a shocker. When it's revealed. So, I don't think there's much to the Pokemon Ranger series in terms of plot and lore.
When we were younger, I feel like there's one constant that's shared amongst all of us in some way. Presents that are almost what you asked for, but ever so slightly off. You wanted that new snazzy game console? Boom, you got one of those nightmares 201 bootleg consoles that barely worked to begin with. Technically, it's what you asked for, but instead of bringing fun and joy, it only brought pain. You wanted that cool new Pokemon game with a time dragon? Boom, you got a Pokemon spin-off game. Though in this case, unlike before, not all is lost. You may not have gotten exactly what you wanted, but instead got to experience a unique game with a good amount of depth to it too. That is, unless you got Pokemon Dash. Nobody remembers Pokemon Dash. However, jokes aside, as you can probably tell, I have a bit of a soft spot when it comes to Pokemon spin-offs. And while I have already talked about arguably the most popular—
Sorry, I have to pause this immediately. The first Ranger game sucks! I'm so mad at the first Ranger game. Okay, so the first Ranger game is pretty fun. I like it a lot. I gotta go. No problem, Vodka. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with us. The first Ranger game sucks. And you know why it sucks? Because in every other Ranger game, when you like draw loops around a Pokemon, the Pokemon has a health bar. And if you draw loops, then you make progress on that health bar, and your goal is to fill up that health bar to capture them, right? In the first fucking Ranger game, you do not get a health bar. There is no health bar. What you have to do is each Pokemon has like a number associated with it. And that number is like 6 or 15 or 30. And the thing about that number is that's how many loops, consecutive loops, you have to make around the Pokemon before it is considered captured. And if your loops are interrupted for any fucking reason, that number resets and you have to start all the way over from the beginning. It's fucking cruel and mean and stupid, and I hate it, and it's bad, and anyone who's played the first Ranger game will understand the depths of my pain when I say the name of this one Pokemon. Salamence! Fuck the first Ranger game. Major design flaw. Giving it a health bar was the best thing they could have done to make this game actually fun and playable. And once they had a health bar, the captures became so much less grindy and obnoxious and just infuriating. And that's why Almia is a superior game. I've not played the third one yet.
There's one other series from the same time period I've yet to cover. Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and today we'll be talking about Pokemon Ranger. Going back to 2004, as I'm sure most of you know, the Nintendo DS was pretty revolutionary, with the console practically redefining mobile gaming upon its release. So of course, instead of just making your typical run-of-the-mill games that you'd expect to see on previous platforms, game developers made sure to make use of the DS's wide array of features, from its 2 screens, wireless connectivity, and even its internet capabilities later on. But
God, the DS was
what
so
would enamor
based.
developers the most would be the DS's touchscreen. In the early days of its lifespan, you'd be really hard-pressed to find a DS game that didn't utilize the touchscreen in some way, whether it be something as simple as touching the screen to start the game, to the entire game relying on touch controls. Hell, even the initial marketing of the DS relied entirely on its touch controls with commercials like these.
Ugh. Kinky. Why is this voice so sexy? Why is this voice so sexy?
Aside, it'd be no exaggeration to say that touchscreen games were all the craze back in the mid-2000s, with even big hitters like Pokemon succumbing to it all, what with its first entry on the system being the aforementioned Pokemon Dash, a simple little racing game that focused on touch controls. And speaking of Pokemon, let's get back on track here. Moving on to 2006, at this point, the Pokemon series was filling up its DS library like nobody's business, with the system already having 3 separate spin-off titles, each by different developers. And while the next
I haven't played Pokemon Troze. I want to play Pokemon Troze. It looks fun.
Ways off if you lived outside
it looks like
Japan,
it looks like a good little puzzle game to just kind of pick up when I want to waste time.
Satisfy the masses until the mysterious 4th generation dropped, Pokemon Ranger. Coming out a good 6 months before the release of Diamond and Pearl, and developed by HAL Laboratories of all people, Pokemon Ranger was honestly the closest thing fans had to a new mainline game in a while. It was set in a new region,
Pokemon Ranger went pretty hard,
and using Pokemon, albeit in a much different fashion, and even had some links to past games, what with Pokemon Rangers appearing as trainers in the main series. All in all, a perfect storm when it comes to getting people to buy a spin-off game, but this time, the Pokemon Company decided to go all out, since on top of that, the marketing for this game was insane. Whereas before in previous spin-off games, like the then new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, small anime specials would be made alongside the series, the company decided that whether you liked it or not, Pokemon Ranger would be everywhere. Instead of just getting a small obscure special, Rangers would be straight up inserted into the main Pokemon anime at multiple points, with a full-on movie featuring Rangers being released a couple months after. Plus, alongside that,
the Manaphy movie
received multiple mangas connected to it as well. And if that wasn't enough to make kids point and scream every time they saw the game at a store, Pokemon Ranger would even be linked to Diamond and Pearl, with the legendary Pokemon Manaphy only being available if you had a copy of Pokemon Ranger, which if everything else didn't get people to buy it, definitely sealed the deal for many, with the Manaphy being the only legendary Pokemon to date.
Fucking love the Manaphy movie. The Manaphy movie was pretty cute.
Completely separate Pokemon Fione, in turn making Pokemon Ranger the only source at the time for not 1, but 2 legendary Pokemon. Needless to say, they really wanted people to buy Pokemon Ranger more than anything else. And let me tell you, it worked.
We're so close to being good with this.
Even though
Look
I
at
never
this.
got the game
It looks really
kid,
good, right?
I remember always being super jealous of my friends that did, especially when they
this is looking
showed
pretty
me
good,
their
right?
Manaphy and
Lucario and the
Fione.
Mystery of Mew was
Though
also very
enough
good.
about
I
all
liked
that.
Lucario and the
Since up
Mystery of Mew,
until
yeah.
now, we've only talked about the aggressive marketing of
This
the
is looking
game.
pretty good
How
so
about
far,
we
right?
actually talk
Hope you like
about
this.
the game itself?
This is cute.
So, alright, when it came down
I'm good
to
at
the
line art.
actual gameplay
Everyone
of
please
Pokemon
hype me the
Ranger,
fuck
it was really
up.
quite a simple
Everyone
concept.
hype. Everyone tell me my
Instead of
line art
catching
looks
Pokemon
good,
through a turn-based
please.
battle system,
I need
you
to know
just
that my
had to
line art
draw
looks
circles
good because
around
I
them,
hate
or
doing line art
scratch
and
up
I'm
your
bad
touch
at line
screen to
art.
hell trying. Though jokes aside, that's really all there is to it. Of course, there are other facets to it, like utilizing your partner Pokemon
Thank you
and
for
other
hyping me
Pokemon
up.
you've
I appreciate
captured,
it.
but that's just about it. However, at the same time, while the game itself isn't complicated, it also isn't a walk in the park.
Thank you,
But
besties.
thankfully, when the going gets rough, the game can be cheesed pretty hard if you time your partner Pokemon just right. Though what about the rest the game has to offer? Well, let's take a look at that. Story-wise at least, the game shares a pretty big chunk of similarities with the main series, with the plot surrounding Rangers trying to defend Pokemon of the Fiore region from a sinister group of criminals called the Go Rock Squad. Well,
God, I love the Go Rock Squad!
Sinister part, as the admins of the group called the Go Rock Quad
I love them! them.
Solos on their instruments.
They're fucking great. I love those dumb idiots.
My personal favorite is the guy who goes ham on the drum. But aside from them, the story and characters of Pokemon Ranger are really just about what you'd expect, more just serving as a vehicle to bring you new and unique Pokemon to capture. Overall, very clean cut in terms of how the game is laid out, with different types of Pokemon and assists being introduced the further you get into the game, alongside faster, tougher, and larger enemy Pokemon to match. I mean, look at the finale of the game. After you've been pretty well acquainted with the mechanics of the game and are ready for a challenge, the game does not disappoint by pitting you against 3 unique and challenging Pokemon with
the final boss battle is like a 3-tier boss battle. You fight all 3 of them.
Easy and
it's crazy.
Runs, but when it's your first time playing, HAL made sure to combine almost all of the mechanics you'd learned so far to put your rapid circle drawing skills to the test.
And none of it was as hard as Salaman's.
An embarrassing amount of times to get past it, especially with Entei spamming fire across the screen constantly. But if you remain patient and utilize the right Pokemon throughout the fight, then you've pretty much won the game. So while Pokemon Ranger may be a bit bland when it comes to its characters and story, of course excluding these great individuals, the gameplay was a really solid and unique idea, utilizing the DS's strengths well. Though whether it be on the merits of its gameplay or just the game's massive marketing, Pokemon Ranger would end up selling pretty well, amassing 2.93 million sales worldwide, eclipsing Pokemon Dash and Traze, but still overshadowed by the even larger success of the previous spin-off game, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. However, even then, with figures like that, it was pretty much clear that there was a feasible market for DS Circle games, and soon, Pokemon Ranger would graduate from a singular spin-off game to a spin-off series. Following the sizable success of the first game, Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia was announced, piquing the curiosities of many. Coming out once again right behind the next entry in the main series, Shadows of Almia had a lot going for it. For starters, it had a whole new generation of Pokemon to work with, attracting a lot of people from that fact alone. And since the series was already established, it didn't need as aggressive of a marketing campaign as the first game, though even then it'd have a fair bit. Because while Shadows of Almia wouldn't end up getting a movie promoting it directly, the protagonist would end up appearing in the main series anime with yet another 2-part special. Plus, like before, the game would also end up receiving a manga adaptation alongside. However, what about any connections to the mainline games? Last time it was with the ever-popular Manaphy, so what, if anything, did they choose to do this time? Well, they definitely did something, but we'll get to that in a bit. For now, what about Shadows of Almia set the game aside from its predecessor? Surprisingly, a good bit. Of course, the aforementioned new generation of Pokemon aside, many of the lacking aspects found in the first game would be improved upon greatly in the sequel. For example, take the thing you're doing for over half the game, capturing Pokemon. In Shadows of Almia, everyone's favorite circle drawing mechanic was updated, with the most major change being how, whereas in the first game you had to complete all the required loops without lifting the stylus, now you could lift the stylus to avoid attacks, with the capture meter decreasing the longer you wait to continue drawing loops. A change that for me personally, I'm really glad they made. And aside from that,
they just needed a fucking health bar and it made it so much better.
Would be refined as well, increasing your partner Pokemon limit from just the one you start out with to a pretty sizable pool to choose from. Yet
one
another
for each type.
Change that was more than welcome. Overall, a pretty solid update to the capturing system, adding a lot of much needed variety. Plus on top of that, as you progress through the game, not only does your styler level up like it did in the first game, but you even gain the ability to charge it by holding it in place, in turn making captures go by really quickly if you know what you're doing. And aside from just leveling up, Shadows of Almia would also introduce side quests, small missions that don't affect the main story, which unlock not only power-ups for your styler, but new partner Pokemon as well. The only downside to that being you can only take one at a time, making things kind of tedious. However, aside from capturing
but honestly,
Pokemon,
Shieldon is the best partner in the game. It's so good.
To its predecessor? Well, in my opinion, pretty good. I will say that it was a bit slower in the beginning, what with the unnecessarily long tutorial, but pretty much immediately after that, it definitely surpassed the original. And on that note, let's talk about the story. Set in, you guessed it, the Almia region. Like in the first game, you're a fledgling Pokemon
Gotta finish stuff, so I gotta head out. No problem, Jisming. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Only to immediately be flung into into the fray with this game's set of villains, Team Dim Sum. Yes,
Dim
that's actually what
Sum.
they're called.
I hate their name,
Villains
it's so
whose
stupid.
ultimate goals are to, well, dim the sun. A bit
I
more
guess.
literal than your Team Plasmas or Flares, that's for sure. Though instead of these villains using stolen stylers to capture Pokemon, Dim Sum uses a piece of technology developed by a scientist you actually meet early on in Ranger School, who for a great portion of the game is being tricked by one of your former teachers, Mr. Kincaid, a grumpy hairspray lover who turned out to be the vice president of Dim Sum, masking his true identity as a teacher in order to find a child prodigy to trick. A twist that was pretty obvious, but
So
still
obvious.
an interesting plot point altogether. And although Team Dim Sum is about as incompetent as Team Go Rock was, I will say they were definitely more unique, at least when compared to Go Rock, with their goal just being taking over the region. So to start from the top, while using the oil company Altru Inc. as a guise for their operations, Dim Sum is led by a man named Blake Hall, the leader of both Dim Sum and Altru, who isn't exactly as he seems. On the surface, he's just a villain who wants to use every Pokemon in the region for energy production, but they actually
This is the stupidest plot reveal in the entire world.
Be so misguided.
This is the
Simply
stupidest
put,
plot
long
reveal
ago
in the
when
entire
Blake Hall
fucking
was just
world.
a child, Altru Inc. was going through a crisis with their oil fields drying up. Faced with this problem, Bryden Hall, Blake's father, would try drilling in the Chroma Highlands in hopes of discovering a new well, only instead, he'd find the long-hidden Shadow Crystal, a crystal created by the old king of Almia, corrupted by darkness and protected by Darkrai. Immediately upon laying eyes on it, Bryden would end up being enamored by the crystal to the point of obsession, being influenced by it into changing his son's name from Wyatt to Blake, in turn corrupting his son as well. Afterwards, now under the influence of the crystal, Blake would kick his father out of the company, taking his place as president and setting in motion the events we see in the game. Though not all is doom and gloom, because
that is the stupidest fucking backstory I've ever heard in my entire goddamn life. Pokemon as a franchise, writing villains is just, it feels like they're allergic now to making bad people be bad and evil and mean of their own merit. Like, what the fuck is that bullshit? Like, oh, it turns out the evil Shadow Crystal was corrupting the bad guy the whole time. It's not really his fault that he's evil. Why can't bad guys just be bad? Why couldn't he just be evil for the sake of being evil? Why couldn't he just be like, hey, fuck it, infinite energy, infinite money, infinite dubs. Hell yeah! Why did he have to be corrupted by the shadow? What's so stupid? And the thing that makes it even worse is it's a total asshole at the very last second of the game's plotline, where it just pulls out like, oh, by the way, he was corrupted the whole time! If there had been some kind of like, just the minorest of minor things to foreshadow this. Like, maybe, we never see Blake Hall because he's very sickly, and he's always popping pills or something, and he's like, yeah, I'm sick, or I'm dying, and that's why I'm so intense on finding this energy source for some reason. And then it turns out, oh, he's evil because he's being corrupted, and that corruption was foreshadowed with his sickness. It's not hard to make it not a stupid fucking asshole. It's not hard to make it not the worst reveal in the entire goddamn world. It's so bad. It's so stupid. Just let people be evil.
Once you unite the 3 gems that make up the Tears of the Princes with the Shadow Crystal,
Let
not
people be
only are
evil,
all the
please, for the love
Pokemon
of
in Almia
God.
freed, but Blake himself would finally be freed from its darkness. Honestly, not the kind of story I was expecting from a Ranger game.
And
but
stupid,
a neat
it's so
surprise
stupid,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
same. Plus, to top it all off, alongside characters like Professor Hastings returning from the previous game, even the Go Rock quads would be semi-prominent in Shadows of Almia, having reformed their ways and becoming a popular band. However, as much as as I've praised Shadows of Almia, I will say it has its flaws. Of course, I've already talked about its enormous slog of a tutorial, but aside from that, I'd say the biggest flaw present in Shadows of Almia is its decreased difficulty. But wait a second, wasn't the previous game already pretty challenging? Why wouldn't this game be? Well, it's really pretty bizarre. Up until a certain point, it was, with that Drapion boss actually giving me 2 game overs when I first played. But weirdly enough, the further you get into Shadows of Almia, the easier it gets, with Darkrai, the final boss of the main story, being kind of a walk in the park.
Honestly, Darkrai is a pretty easy boss.
Probably attribute this to the overhaul of how capturing a Pokemon plays out, but I disagree. The way I see it, it's actually how easy you can level up in the game, with my character at the end of Shadows having a whopping 87 health, compared to the 40 I left off with in the first Ranger game. It's a change that really wasn't all that necessary, what with all the other improvements the capture system received to make the process a bit more forgiving. Though now, moving on from the game itself, let's go back to the marketing for a second, because while not as direct as the first game was, Shadows of Almia would still see a good bit, mostly with the Pokemon you could send to the mainline games. But this time around, instead of being built into the actual game itself, Shadows of Almia made use of the DS with Wi-Fi. So in turn, not only would Manaphy be made available again through a downloadable mission, but they'd also give you a special Riolu, mainly to coincide with the anime special promoting the game. And only 1 month later, Shadows of Almia would receive a 3rd downloadable mission, giving players a chance to transfer the ever-popular Darkrai into their copies of the main series games, which, like Manaphy 2 years ago, ended up being a pretty big drive to get the game, what with the Darkrai movie that came out in 2007. So overall, taking everything into consideration, how did Shadows of Almia do in the long run? Well, unfortunately, even with all the improvements made on the game combined with the marketing ploy of transferable Pokemon, Shadows of Almia would end up doing worse than its predecessors, selling 2.35 million units. Still a pretty good amount, don't get me wrong, but when compared to the other big spin-off series on the DS, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, with its 2nd installment amassing nearly 5 million sales, the future of Pokemon Ranger would begin to become uncertain. So now, with Shadows of Almia out of the way, yet another 2 years would go by, with the Pokemon Company deciding,
remember when it took 2 years to get a new Pokemon game?
In doing so, they'd hit quite the dilemma. How could they possibly differentiate a 3rd game from the previous 2? Well, let's find out. Alright team, the great glowing Pikachu in the sky has decreed we make another Ranger game. Any ideas? How about you, Charles? Well, and make sure you're sitting down for this one. What if instead of circles, there were straight lines?
Get this man a promotion!
Charles, you're an absolute genius. Take the keys to my house and have my wife. I am no longer needed in this plane of existence. And so, Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs was born. Coming out in 2010, Guardian Signs would already be at a bit of a disadvantage when compared to the previous 2 installments, as considering each Ranger game had new Pokemon in it, the first being, well, the first entry in the series, and the second bringing all the Pokemon from Sinnoh, Guardian Signs didn't really have any new Pokemon to work with, what with the 5th generation nearing the end of development at that point. So what would be the big thing this time to get people to buy it? Well, nothing really, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, the game did have its protagonist once again appear in the main series anime for another 2-part special, and it even got a little 10-minute animated short covering the beginning of the game, but aside from that, Guardian Signs wouldn't really get the attention its 2 predecessors were showered in. Though enough about that, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of Guardian Signs, the capturing system. Unlike Shadows of Almia, Guardian Signs would retain a lot of what that game brought to the table, only adding onto it instead of changing it entirely. So in turn, while not adding much, Guardian Signs would introduce the Rage function, making Pokemon captures a whole lot more tedious as a result. Basically, how it works is whether it be just a wild Pokemon or a boss Pokemon, when they're enraged, the power of your styler is greatly decreased, with your only option to speed things up being Pokemon assists. Now on one hand, I do see what they were trying to do with this system. Instead of having to just keep making loops around the Pokemon, you can make better use of the Pokemon you already had. Hell, they even made Pokemon you've caught reusable in battle, with them having a cooldown instead of only being usable once. Something that's
so you can
even
finally have a
further
fucking team.
reinforced
That's
by
awesome.
the fact that Pokemon assists fill up the capture meter a considerable bit, unlike before. A pretty good idea in concept, don't get me wrong, except when put into action, it's all kind of, well, boring. I know I'm jumping quite a ways ahead here, but just look at the final battle of the game. It gets to a point in the fight where once Mewtwo is enraged with the energy shield almost always around it, pretty much the only option the game gives you is to wait for Ukulele Pichu to pop up out of nowhere and spam him. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Which for finale definitely left more than just a bad taste in my mouth. And speaking of Ukulele Pichu, let's go back a bit. Like the first game,
Ukulele
Guardian Signs
Pichu
only lets you have one partner Pokemon instead of the wide variety of shadows. The trade-off, though, is that Ukulele Pichu becomes absolutely godlike the more you progress through the game. It wouldn't even be a stretch to say that by the end of the game, waiting for Ukulele Pichu to pop up is the main strategy. But that wouldn't be the only flaw when it came to this game's capturing system, because whereas it was pretty easy to level up in the last game, in Guardian Signs you barely have to do anything to. I'm not even joking. I went through the entire game barely doing any side quests, and before I went back and did them for the finale, I already had 100 max health.
Jesus!
It's a shame too, because aside from the changes to the capture system and its lackluster story, we'll get to that in a bit, Guardian Signs had a boatload of potential. Like most games that came during the latter half of the DS's lifespan, Guardian Signs made use of the system as much as it could. From cool chase segments where you turn the DS on its side, to a mini campaign that's entirely multiplayer, but you could play on your own, Guardian Signs was pretty ambitious with the new things it brought to the table. Like, take the flying segments within the game. Those were legitimately fun, and I ended up looking forward to them every time. Or how about the whole system surrounding the namesake of the game, Guardian Signs, whereby loosely scribbling a pattern into your styler, you could summon a variety of Pokemon from normal to legendary to help you out throughout the game. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty neat addition to it all. Plus, alongside all of that, Guardian Signs would also bring a couple quality of life improvements to the series as well. Like side quests, not only would they be made more interesting, but now there's no limit to how many you could accept. Though now, having talked about all the innovations Guardian Signs brought to the series, it's time to touch on the
He's
story.
done.
Set in the Oblivia region, Guardian Signs is unique in the fact that its villains are just a bunch of Pokemon thieves that have banded together for a common goal. The only real standouts among them being the admins, so to speak, of the Pokemon pinchers. However, that's the only thing that's really unique about them. Much like the first game, Guardian Signs doesn't
I'm gonna finish the video
have
and then we're
best
gonna
story, more
call
so
the
just
stream.
using it as a vehicle for you to catch more Pokemon. But I will give credit where credit is due. The final area of the game was definitely interesting, what with it being a massive flying fortress that
Wait, that's
doubles
really
as a
cool,
doomsday
actually.
weapon, something I didn't really expect out of a Pokemon spin-off. And well, that's about it. I won't really talk about the main villains because aside from the whole deal of them being old thieves that wanted to relive their glory days by becoming immortal using knockoff Saiyan armor, there's not that much to talk about.
What the fuck?
I mean, there is Purple Eyes, one of the admins from earlier, who tries to take Mewtwo after you defeat them, but his victory is so short-lived, it kinda just makes him look like an idiot.
Hey, wait, I'm kind of excited to play this game now. This looks a little bonkers.
Do in the long run. Unfortunately for the series, not well. Even though the game had this time contained a whopping 4 legendaries able to be transferred to the main series games, and a downloadable mission where you could capture Arceus, Guardian Signs would only end up amassing 1.53 million sales. By now, it'd be safe to say the interest in screen-destroying circle games had finally run out, or at least was on the way to running out by then. Hell, even Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, which was basically just the previous game in its series with added content and refined gameplay, sold just about as much.
So I played Spores of Sky recently, and everyone says, "Oh, Explorers of Sky is the best Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game. It's so good. Wow, Darkrai. Wow, Grovyle." Explorers of Sky fucking pissed me off. It pissed me off. You wanna know why it pissed me off? Because this entire game, you are teased. You are cock-teased with Grovyle, and then you are never able to add Grovyle to your team and bring Grovile with you on adventures and have him be a permanent member of your team. It is always teased as, oh, Grovile's your third player. He's your third member of your team that you're gonna have. Like, he's your Absol, you know? Like, if we're going by red and blue rescue team. Grovile's your Absol, and you're eventually gonna get him, and it's gonna be great, and you're gonna have a good time. No! You never fucking get him! It's so bullshit. It makes me so mad. It's so stupid. Give me Grovile and let me have Grovile as, like, a permanent member of my team. So fucking bullshit.
Not just Guardian Signs, really putting the nail in the coffin for the fate of Pokemon Ranger. So in turn, as Mystery Dungeon and even Pokemon Draze would be making the leap to the 3DS, Pokemon Ranger would be left behind, never receiving another game ever again. In the end, the Ranger series represents an era of mobile gaming. It was a time when developers were coming up with all sorts of unique ways to use the DS, with Ranger's primarily touch-based gameplay just being one of those ways. It's a remnant of a time when the Pokemon Company would partner with a ton of developers to make spin-off games in between the main releases, a practice that nowadays has been declining quite a bit, what with games like Pokemon Go or Pokemon Quest seeming to be the new shiny toy to dangle in front of Pokemon fans while they wait for the next mainline entry. Whether we like it or not, it's just a natural progression of things, I suppose.
4 years ago, this is a 4-year-old video. Okay, never mind.
That still shouldn't stop you from giving them a try.
I had a dream there's a Pokemon game called Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken.
Though who knows,
no, we played that, remember?
Come back with its spin-off games.
You and me, we played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken.
Much doomed to remain a DS trilogy, they could always make new entries in the Mystery Dungeon series, or even create something entirely new. In the end, we'll just have to wait and see. Honestly, as long as it's unique and not a crappy mobile game like this, I'll be happy. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more,
I played Pokemon Sleep pretty regularly, actually, and I like it a lot. It's an idle game. It's just an idle game that doubles as a sleep tracker, and I like it. I don't know. I like Pokemon Sleep. Pokemon Sleep's nice. I like Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus is probably one of the best Pokemon spin-off games we've ever gotten. It's one of the best. My brain is so vulnerable, you could 100% you played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken with that much effort. Well, I don't have to convince you, because we literally played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken together. Do you not remember? Our starter, we decided we thought it would be really, really funny, because Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken is like, it has the most fire types out of any other Pokemon game, and we thought it would be really, really funny to start with the grass starter, so that we would just get destroyed by all the fire types, and then, it turns out the grass starter was actually the best Pokemon in the game. Do you not remember this? Because the grass starter had that special ability where when it got hit with a fire type move, it made the grass starter stronger. So it was like the best fucking choice in the game. Do you not remember this? Do you not remember? Roasted Onion? Our beloved son? Roasted Onion? Our beloved son, Roasted Onion! That was his name! That was his fucking name! From our playthrough of Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken! Rotisserie Chicken really had balancing issues, especially with the chicken poppers. Oh my god, chicken poppers! Holy shit, so stupid. Like, what gets me about the chicken poppers is that they tried to shoehorn them into every fucking encounter, right? It got to the point where it's like, oh look, chicken poppers. Yay! Now I have to deal with chicken poppers while I'm trying to solve this stupid fucking puzzle in this dungeon, you know? Because the chicken poppers are the only, because Rotisserie Chicken was like, it's a classic like 2D sprite top-down Pokemon game, but the chicken poppers are the only overworld spawn in the game, and they are so fucking aggro. And whoever made Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken put the chicken poppers, like, in the worst possible places, right? Like, remember when we did that gym where it was like, oh, okay, cool. This is the gym, and the gym's whole thing, like, I think it was like the second gym, is to introduce you to the chicken poppers. And I was like, okay, cool. That's a thing. I'm glad we only have to deal with that in the gym challenges when we're doing the gym puzzles to get to the gym leader. I'm glad that's the only place they're going to appear. And then the next, like, we went to the fucking cave after the second gym, and it was just the chicken popper cave. It was like what was the cave's name? Because it was like themed after chicken poppers, and it was so fucking annoying. It was so bad. Now I want a Pokemon ROM hack called Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken. We played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken. We played it. We played it. Way too many chicken poppers ended up soft-locking ourselves. Oh my god, yes! I remember we did get soft-locked for like 1 second because the chicken poppers, they the chicken poppers, they blocked the exit, and we couldn't get through, so we just had to kill ourselves fighting and trying to clear all the chicken poppers. Yes, no, you're so right. You're so right. I remember that. We had to like black out and start the cave over because there was no other way to get through because of the way the chicken popper AI was, right? Yeah. This is what Black and Blue wishes it was. I honestly, if you've never played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken, I actually do recommend it. It's a pretty fun ROM hack. I really enjoyed it. Tried the Cobb salad hack, but that nearly broke the game. Oh, yeah. What you're supposed to do with the Cobb salad hack is what you do is there's an NPC named Cobb, right, in Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken, and the point of him is he'll show up every now and then, and you can trade him berries, and he'll give you stuff that's better than berries, basically, right? So it's worth it to, like, scour where berries will spawn in order to have some berries in your pockets to trade to Cobb, right? And if there's a glitch in the implement, because Cobb was like made like from scratch, like he's a scratch mechanic, right? So there's a glitch in Cobb called the Cobb salad glitch, the Cobb salad hack, and where it's if you give Cobb, like, you have to get to it's pretty easy because you have to get to a certain, like, you have to set up some certain things beforehand. And then when you talk to Cobb, I think in like the 3rd or 4th city, and you try to trade berries with him, if you trade a certain sequence of berries with him, you will get a glitched item that looks like one of the salads that he will give you that's better than a berry. It's like a healing item that's a special thing that Cobb gives you. It looks like one of his salads, but it's like a totally fucking broken item that if you use it in battle, it like instant wins whatever you're against, right? But so we tried to do the Cobb salad glitch, and what ended up happening was we got the salad, but we didn't set it up right. So instead of getting the like OP salad that like makes any encounter like super easy, like that's like an auto win kind of thing. And we got a glitched Cobb salad that basically crashed our game, and it fucking sucks. So we couldn't use Cobb for the rest of the playthrough. It sucked, yeah. It doesn't help if you're facing back-to-back chicken poppers. No! But that's just because of how the chicken poppers were, like, scripted, right? Because, okay, so chicken poppers, they're, like, aggro on you. They're the only overworld encounter Pokemon in the game, right? But they will aggro on you. And so if you get into a battle with a chicken popper, it doesn't matter if you defeat them. It doesn't matter if you run. The chicken poppers will not despawn and vanish. They will just go back to their first spawn location and reset. They'll just reset their spawn location, right? So if you happen somehow and there's a couple points where the spawn locations of these chicken poppers is just fucking stupid, right? And you can't outrun them. You can try, but it's very hard to outrun a chicken popper. There's a section in some of these caves where you can get in this infinite recursive loop of you leave a battle with a chicken popper, and then you're right next to another chicken popper's spawn location, and so you're stuck between two chicken poppers constantly fucking spawning. And what you have to do is you have to just lose a battle and restart the entire fucking cave over. It's so bullshit. It is the most bullshit mechanic. Because the chicken poppers, I have to say, the chicken poppers are really, really, really fun in the gyms. They make the gym puzzles a lot more interesting and entertaining because you don't get to just stand there and be like, okay, what's the fucking puzzle? Hold on, I have to put something... Like, you have to... The chicken poppers in the gym puzzles make you want to solve the puzzle as fast as possible, and it's really fun. It adds a level of stress to the gym puzzles that Pokemon games do not usually have. And that's really, really, really fun. And I wish that they just kept it only in the gyms, because every time the chicken poppers show up in the gyms is great and fun, and I really enjoyed it. But every time they showed up in the stupid dungeons, like the caves and shit, I wanted to take a gun out and shoot the fucking game. It sucked. They have 8 speed and 7 flavor. You're pretty much done unless you've got a fleshed out team with at least 1 cold sandwich. Right? Because the cold sandwich is the only thing that will repel them. Because, yeah, the cold sandwich is kind of like a spell tag, but it only works on chicken poppers. And it won't make them not aggro, but it will make them not chase you. Which is good, but if you do get into a battle with a chicken popper, that cold sandwich is used up. It's not a permanent item. It's so fucking bullshit. Yeah. Dude, Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken was fun, though. Like, I don't want to play all the dungeons again, but I do kind of want to just do, like, the main campaign, because the gym leader fights were actually really fun, and I really liked the fire-type focus, how there was 4 fire-type gym leaders. It was awesome. Yuki, your pronouns are yes and. Are you seriously telling me you've never played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken? Are me and Onlogus the only people who've ever played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken? Is Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken like a fucking cryptid? Is Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken a fucking SCP? Okay. Onlogus, we need to do another playthrough of Rotisserie Chicken. That was really, really fun. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I have 4 cards from that game. The game is so good. Anyway, yeah. That's Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken. It was pretty fun. If you've never played it, I do recommend it. You are contra robbing me. You are doing some Coco Melon shit to me. Oh, fuck, that's good. That's really fun. Yeah. I finished inking Carver, so that's what I wanted to do this stream, so I'm done streaming, by the way. I'm not gonna work on any others. These guys I'll just need colors. I'll just need basic, vague colors. Very cool, very good. I was awake for 5 minutes, and we busted out the big guns, aka Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken. Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken version. It's a good game! If you haven't played Pokemon Rotisserie Chicken, you need to go play it. I have so many more guys I need to line art, but that's fine. It's fine and good. It's fine and good and okay, and everything's fine and good, and it's gonna be fine, and I'm gonna do good, and it's gonna be fine. I'm not looking forward to doing all this extra line art. But it's fine. It's all good. Everything's gonna be good and fine and good, and it'll be okay. But yeah, I'm done streaming, guys. So I don't know if I'll stream next week. I don't know if I'll stream again ever. I love you. Bye. Good night. Goodbye forever.